What's up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? I'm Celtic Warrior Damon.
Soda.
And I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
Fella.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Getting it out. Oh, got it. Getting it out. 9 days! 9 days from today! 9 days on 9 more! 9 days! 9 days! Welcome to episode 1 of Wrestling on the Rocks. That's right, we are WOTR the show on Twitter. I am at Ref Marsh, and this is episode 1. That's right, the show where every show is our first show, because our pledge and our oath to you is we will not move on to the second show until we get one show right. 2 years going strong, Klump. It's our anniversary. We've been doing episode 1 for 2 years. Like I said, I'm Ref Marsh. Klump, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I am Klump, a.k.a. Crybaby Klump, a.k.a. other things that I might get a.k.a.'d for. Usually the fat bald guy, things like that. Pleasure to have you for these past 2 years. Yeah.
It's been cool, dude. When we first thought about this, it was me and Kevlar on the phone. And when he said, this has got to be a podcast, and I said, no, Klump, it's not. And he's like, who the fuck is Klump? And I said, once you see him, you'll know. Yeah. He goes, what's Klump? And I said, once you see him, you'll get it.
Yeah.
Aptly named Klump.
Yeah. I'm like a human, like, bounty ad.
Wow. But it's been amazing ever since. And that was the whole thing. We wanted... I was like, we're not going to have a sit down. It's still on. I can see it on. And I see it on over there. Oh, my God. Well, it's still on, so...
We just don't see you.
Yeah, I'm pulling a John Cena for 1 second. I can't be John Cena for 1 second around here. No, Jesus. All right. Well, that's the gushy with me and Klump. Klump, I'm glad we've had you here for 2 years. Original drinking buddy, sober voice of the show.
Original drinking, not drinking buddy.
Yes, drinking, not drinking. Also over there, I'm sure you heard, producer, but importantly... we also have back with us, as per the usual, Amanda. Go ahead and say hey.
Hey, guys. It's Ms. Amanda Jane here. And happy anniversary. We're the, cupcakes or something cool or streamers.
I'm not allowed to eat food that tastes good, so I can't have cupcakes.
Okay, so there's no, glittery, we don't get any, glittery, overlay for the, the Twitch and stuff for...
That's a good point. We could have definitely done an overlay that would have made more sense. I agree.
But I don't know. I don't know about those things. That's above my pay grade. But if you're listening on the podcast, just close your eyes and imagine tons of glitter, like a glitter bomb exploding.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I just took a drink of my coffee and I pretended it was cake, and that was the shittiest cake I've ever had.
Oh, can't do that.
You made bad coffee again?
It's not cake.
I don't like bitter cake.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of bitter, Klump, sounds like you've got coffee in your glass. Anything special with that coffee, or just pale black coffee?
It's darker. It's like a it's like a dirt with salt in it. It's
a clean dirt.
Yeah.
Dirt, salt in it.
And I
if you got milk that color, you'd be like, this is not milk. Take this milk back.
Is it lumpy?
Oh. No, that's me. I am lumpy.
Oh, okay, but the coffee's not lumpy.
No, I'm actually clumpy.
Yeah, he is.
Aha.
He's Klump.
Boom.
He's Klump. He's in his head. I am having... I'm going to try and finish off because there doesn't look like... It looks like I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm going to have this 40 Creek with blue sky and try and get that down. Amanda, what's in your glass?
You know how I roll. We're doing that non-sponsored Sonic Cherry Slush with today. We have in it some Malibu pineapple. No, passion fruit. Sorry. It's passion fruit.
Still
Malibu
good.
passion fruit?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good. That's cool.
You can find them at your specialty beverage places, because usually well, I don't know about Arizona because y'all are weird there, but yeah, and Delaware's weird too. Just shout out to that.
Fucking Delaware.
Yeah. So places like the grocery store or CVS or Target, they only sell regular Malibu, but when you go to Bevmo or Liquor
Oh.
Barn or whatever the hell. Yeah, when you go to the specialty places, you can find those.
No,
I wanted
actually, in Arizona, and I'll throw back to Klump real quick. In Arizona, the places with the biggest variety of liquor really is like Fry's or like an Albertsons, like a grocery store. We put booze everywhere. We understand
Yeah.
how miserable it must be to live here, and we've put in booze in every single possible place you can sell things.
Yeah.
So we have variety for sure. Klump, what were you gonna say?
Like gas station?
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah,
Oh, really?
absolutely, yes.
You can get liquor. Like it's harder to find a place that. So they opened a Walmart by my house that did not have a liquor like
That's
section.
weird. That's really weird.
City ordinance, weird old neighborhood thing. The neighborhood fought it. They lost and then liquor, and it was weird going into it. Like they don't. It was nicer but weird. Like they had an organic section in the Walmart that was decent, and then they won their legal battle, and fuck that.
Hell yeah.
We got to put this Bud Light in.
Yeah, we're putting Bud Light in there, dude. There's no way. I don't think Walmart can survive in Arizona without Bud Light on the shelves. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, no.
Really?
Did anything happen?
It's
in the
Bud.
chat?
You guys are Bud Light people in that
No.
part of the country?
Well, yes, they're out here. It's not us though.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
oh, I know,
it's
I know,
not
but-
me. It's.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the folk in that area.
I mean, I did treat. I was more of a Michelob Ultra guy, but I treated that like Gatorade. You just
Yeah.
drank that while you did at yard work because it was watery.
Yes, it was as close as you were gonna get.
I think more so. More watery than water.
Well, let's get into it because there's a lot going on today. A lot of craziness going on. I do want to say cheers to GR Lunar coming through the chat. I'm hoping to have him on our WrestleMania Backlash pay-per-view watch-along, so keep a head out for that. Guys, as far as news goes, I only have the one bit of news that everyone's talking about. So if there's other news, let me know. But here's the big news. WWE did their yearly, that they do most every year, lot of releases. And last year it was especially painful for people because it was, quote, in the middle of a pandemic, how dare you. And the years before that, nobody seemed to notice or care that it was happening. So we've just become sensitive on the internet about it. That's all it is. So when this happened, everyone's like, this is a travesty. And although it's a bummer and although it's shitty, I have absolute faith in almost everybody on this list that they will be absolutely fine, that they're going to find their footing. It's just like anybody who loses their job. You go, good luck. They'll find a spot, you know? And I feel the same way about all these ones because this batch was some of the bigger names that we've seen them just release in a batch in a long time. I'm going to go ahead and run down the list. We'll go little by little. Are you guys all right with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Unless there's something you want to say about that prior to me getting the list out. If there's something you want to say in terms of what I was just saying about the releases.
Nope.
All right. And then we'll hit more about it on the end. So here's some of the names. The first couple names that they released one batch of 5 names, and it immediately said Billy Kay, Mickey James, Chelsea Green, Tucker, and Wesley Blake. That was their first batch. Second batch came in, and Samoa Joe led the charge with Kalisto, Bo Dallas, Peyton Royce, and then about an hour and a half, 2 hours later, the name Mojo Rawley was also announced as being released. I just have a feeling he wasn't answering his phone or something. But
He had to find his phone that was stuck inside of a person.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, absolutely. So those were the names that came out of it. I'll say, couple things. One, it's the shittiest. You heard it here first that's ever happened. But you guys remember, what was it, 3 weeks ago? Peyton Royce cut that promo on Raw Talk, and then, or no, that was like 2 months ago. And then like 3 weeks ago, she got her match against Asuka. And after that match, I said, wow, that match was really bad. That's probably the last time we're ever going to see Peyton Royce.
Yeah, you put it here first.
That was one I didn't hope was actually going to come true. You know? Yeah, I put that out there, I guess. But, so you have the tag team of the Iconics who were split. In my mind, looking at this list, there's a couple names that really stand out with just utter confusion behind it. One of them, Mickey James. I thought, what? But I think I could I think in my mind I can make sense of it to a degree, but I just completely disagree, if that makes sense. And then Samoa Joe, I just can't figure out for the life of me, except for, then I want to hear what you guys have to say because I know I've been going on too long. Samoa Joe and Mickie James were doing commentary and stuff. Justin Time says journalism at its finest. That's what I do. I make it up as I go. And then I'm right. I was more right about Peyton Royce being fired after that match than Meltzer was right about Becky showing up at Mania. I'm just throwing that out there. Anyways.
Yeah. Don't listen to Dave. Listen to Marsh.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Here's what we don't know.
A lot.
Anything. Literally anything. That's what we don't know as fans. So when we all go in here and pretend we know what's going on, we know that this is budget cuts, we know they're doing this or doing that, we don't know any of that. We also know that last year Aiden English was let go as a listing of contract wrestlers and like talent, not announcers. And we found out afterwards, someone had mentioned it, that he was still under a talent contract, and so when he got released, it had nothing to do with his ring announcing thing. So those are all like different contracts and stuff. And we know that here we do not understand contracts, but we do understand people. Samoa Joe and Mickie James both have been very adamant that they want to continue wrestling, and neither one have been utilized in that capacity. I don't know. Nobody knows, but I wouldn't also be shocked if when they were in the conversation here of we're going to terminate your talent contract, who knows? They could have been offered an on-air contract that would be, who knows numbers-wise, any of that irrelevant. I don't know that you could put enough money in front of Samoa Joe and Mickie James. You probably could, but it would make them both say, yes, I'm done completely in the ring, and I like the way that it ended. I don't know that they weren't involved in that conversation saying, well, thank you for the opportunities and we'll see you down the road. Like they could easily have turned down an alternative contract. Because there's been a lot of talk I've been seeing people say, oh, they should have offered them this. Why didn't they just give them this contract? Why didn't they just pay them less and have them do the other thing? Well, who knows that Joe or Mickie even wanted that? You know what I mean? So there's a lot there on the table. I know that you guys were talking before the show a little bit about some things that you'd like, not like. Let's start with Klump. What do you think about all this, man? This was a lot of name power here.
It was. I have no. I echo you. I have no idea why you'd lose Joe. I thought, maybe it's a difference in what they see in each other. Is it like we want you in the ring, or is it I want to be on commentary, or vice versa? But in any role he was in, he was fantastic. So I have no clue why. Mickie James really the same. If for commentary, for their role, they're great in the ring. As a teacher and as a trainer, could be amazing. The other one, and I'm not going to say this to be shitty, but I am also going to say this to be shitty, is I find it weird. Wesley Blake gets released, but we still have Jackson Riker, who, I'm sorry, I'm not a big fan of him in the ring. I'm not a fan of him as a person from what he's done, and I'll own that. So it's kind of rough to me. It's like, this person's older, has shit tons more baggage, is really not doing well, and he's had some in-ring issues too. But let's get rid of the other guy who, and that sounds, obviously I don't want him to get fired, but I question this versus that a bit, Yeah,
and I think that a lot of this is more complicated than we can ever know for sure. But I agree with you. I thought it was very peculiar as well, because out of the Forgotten Sons, arguably, what from the outside looking in, I should say, it looked like his tweets is what got them pulled off of TV for a while, and then
we
Blake,
reward him.
And well, I mean, maybe it's a reward. I don't know. I can't say no, but definitely keeping your job sounds like a reward. But we've seen a lot of people want to get their releases in general, so. It could even be like, hey, you were out so X many days, we want to run out your contract. It's the least number of all the other ones anyways. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I have no idea. But I agree with you. His name and Velveteen Dream came up a lot during all the internet stuff about, like, how could these people still be here? I don't know.
I agree with that one. Like that. And especially if you're not doing anything with them. They're, like, Dream's just sitting there now. Like, just nobody's going to be upset with you. If anything, you get into a spot like this where we're just kind of like, a lot of people question why this person versus that person,
Yeah.
It's That's my view of it. The other thing I was going to throw out too, and Amanda and I kind of talked a little bit about like people going places. Uh, where do you guys think they'll go, and why, or where we'll hope?
Well, let's go to Amanda. Amanda, what do you think about all these releases, and where do you think some of these people land?
I tell you, I'm still in shock about Joe, but I will say this. It kind of reminds me a little bit of how ROH used Colt Cabana when he came back. He was wrestling again, then he had to sub on commentary, and that he was so good, they kept using him for commentary, and he'd wrestle less and less, to the point where he told them, "Hey, I want to wrestle more. I still got gas in the tank. I'm not here just to be commentary boy. It's great, but throw me a bone."
Yeah.
And I think that was something that they weren't wanting to really do. They do it just to kind of pacify him. So, let him do something. And then I don't know if they offered him a contract, but when the contract season ended, he didn't resign.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that was the same with Joe, something similar, that, hey, I want to wrestle still, that's my thing. And you're pigeonholing me into doing commentary, because like with Corey Graves, okay, yeah, the guy had this injury and he can't wrestle anymore, and it worked out for him in the end. But that's when I'm still really baffled about. And I honestly don't think he'll go back to Ring of Honor, because there's nothing for him there. And not only just that too, is I don't see I think that they would want to bring back that nostalgia that they had in the times that he was there, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Just because of the people that are there and the talent they have. There's no way.
That could be really tough.
There's no way.
Because I thought that'd be cool too. I was like, what if he just pops over there for just a short little run, just does a few matches, sort of like EC3 did with Impact, where he showed up just for a couple minutes and then left, or even how Matt Cardona showed up in AEW for just a couple months and did a couple things and left. Like, I thought that could be really cool for Joe to do with Ring of Honor, but you're right. It might almost highlight what we're not getting versus what we are.
Yeah, because when you look back when he was in Ring of Honor, the only people that are left are probably the Briscoes and maybe Lethal, like when Lethal was starting out and Lethal was young. But you had you had Bryan Danielson there. You had, Christopher Daniels, and you had Frankie Kazarian there. You had CM Punk there. You had all these people and these great feuds and things like that. And you just can't recapture that, because the people that are on the roster now, no offense to them, but there are maybe 4 people that I think could have a really good storyline, or even make it worth Joe's while. And just 4 people, I don't think would make someone completely happy. But if he were to pop in for a little bit, that'd be cool. Yeah. And then, pop in wherever and see where he fits. But I think ultimately, and I hate to say this, I'm going to be is I think he'll end up at AEW. It will be better for him. At least I think that he'll get more challenging people. And then maybe some of the people like Miro and these ones that are like, God, why are you wasting these people? I think that might, get more eyes and a little bit more traction with things. And especially now, because you're going to have a 4th program, on top of the 7 hours you're already doing, or 8 or whatever. So I think that they need that, because, like on Dark, I think someone wrestled twice this week. And I was like, what? I can't remember who. I'll have to look it up. But I was like, why are they wrestling twice? I know they tape it weird, but that didn't make sense to me. So, and especially because the roster's so big, like, why would you have someone wrestle twice? So just things like that. So I think that, there's more variety. And with all of these future talents, I mean, damn, like, think of him mentoring like a Sean Dean or things like that, really like getting like Jungle Boy, like his skills, like even more advanced than what they are now. So I think it would be a win. Same with Mickey. Like Mickey, I love her to death. But, when she came back, I'm like, they're not going to use her. No way. They're not. And it was sad, because I love Mickey James. But I think she might have an appearance in NWA, obviously. But maybe she might end up being like a Serena Deeb, where she's doing double duty, and that would be very good for AEW's women's roster because, it's not that great.
Yeah.
It's good,
No,
but
yeah.
it's getting better, but they really need veteran leadership.
Yeah.
They don't really have that.
And not from that kind of high level perspective, like as amazing as Serena Deeb clearly is, and yes, she's been on the main roster, and yes, she's wrestled on the show. She was largely a forgettable part of a larger storyline. They don't have anybody like with that level of talent for as long as it's been there on that high of a level in AEW. You know what I mean? The people they do have been doing it for a while and all, but none of them have the experience that could potentially make the rest of the roster look up at her in awe and take listen, right? Where with the other ones, it's easy to dismiss potentially. I'm not saying they don't have the right stuff. Serena Deeb obviously trained a bunch of our favorites, but I think it might be easier for someone to dismiss what Serena Deeb says than what a Mickie James says just out of star power alone, which I think is unfortunate, but I do think that's a reality that we do see. Klump, what were you going to say?
My hope is this. These people going around, some people land in AEW, some people land in Ring of Honor. I hope it can't help but help the industry grow. But when I thought of this, part of me kind of I see a lot of them ending up in AEW, and I wonder at what point, because AEW, they've been given people spaces to do things and given them spotlights, and we see some people flounder, we see some people do some great things, but how many people are going to go through before we maybe question booking? You know what I mean?
We're already
questioning
booking.
Yeah.
Well, but or not us. We're assholes, but the overall the AEW fans, because they knock WWE so bad. But is it the talent, or is it the booking? As we see these, because
or is it letting talent book their own stuff? Like that could be an issue in and of itself.
I don't.
Good.
No.
I'm gonna hit the chat real quick. Go ahead. Finish your thought, and we're going to hit the chat real quick.
I was going to say, and I don't see a heck of a lot of... I'm not knocking anyone. I'm trying not to knock anyone here. I don't see a heck of a lot positively happening. I don't see, oh, that's going to be an amazing feud, or they could do this or that. And I kind of feel biased in thinking, they're going to fuck that up,
Yeah, they've lost a lot of good faith, for sure.
Yeah.
I do think... part of me does think that one of the reasons we saw this much star power just by name recognition alone leave is I think because of the last year we've had of AEW, because of the people that they have gotten who were on fire when they left, like a Rusev, who had everything behind him, and what's happened with him. He's become a joke in gimmick cartoon matches and in comedy segments and in Another Wedding, and he's become a parody, and Jericho's been a parody of himself for quite some time. I hear he's pulling the nose up on that, which is great, but he had a rough year as far as being a parody of himself goes. So I think part of the reason of this is I don't think WWE has any interest anymore in keeping people signed just to have them there. And I think that they did for a while. I think one of the reasons we didn't see them lose a lot of talent for a bit there or do this big a house cleaning is because they also knew those people had nowhere to go. Now it's all like, hey, ROH is doing fine. You got AEW, which is keeping their pocketbook open. Impact has been picking up steam. You've got NJPW, which is getting an American side. You have all these indies beginning to open up. You guys don't need to be here to make a living. And as much as the fans continuously say, if you're not going to use someone, just let them go. Why don't you just give these people releases? Well, here you go. Once a year they do. They say, hey, you know what? We're not using this person. We haven't used them all year. I don't see how we're going to use them this coming up year. Let them go for a while. Let them go. And as Jim Ross likes to say, let them go and learn a new hold. That's kind of how I feel about that. I think that that booking in AEW is why they don't mind losing big names with I mean, to be honest, you look at the names on here, and they have more name power than they have classic matches behind them, right? Like the Iconics. They have a ton of name power, a lot of charisma, no matches that are going to draw people in. Let me see. In the chat, GR Lunar says Joe would have made a great Lashley opponent for the title, a believable threat. Justin Time also says he could have also been an awesome opponent for Roman as well. I agree. Here's the thing about Joe. He is remarkably flawless at everything in the wrestling business that we've ever witnessed. I can't believe for a second that he's not equally flawless on the other stuff we haven't witnessed on the backside of things. I think Samoa Joe has the mind and the talking ability to be the next Paul Heyman. I think this dude could build a company and just run with it. I think he's that smart and that good at everything, and he can get people that fired up. He's also so believable that I think he could be the next Dusty Rhodes. You know what I mean? He could be the top of a territory that he's booking. You know what I mean? And it would be believable and amazing, and people would come. I don't know that there's a negative thing about Joe when it comes to the wrestling business. His talking, his match, his believability, his ability to make you believe. The amount, I mean, fuck, when he was going to that match with Brock Lesnar and he triggered Brock, and for a second we were all like, oh shit. Like, we thought Brock was just going to start wailing on Samoa Joe, and then there's a moment where like Brock's going to kill him, and there's that second where you look at Joe and you go, if he can, you know what I mean? Like,
I think
like,
Joe's good.
I know. Yeah. You're so like, well, if anybody, and you believed going into it, it was like, holy shit. I actually believe that Samoa Joe, who has no MMA background, has every bit ability to beat the actual shit out of Brock Lesnar as Brock Lesnar does as Joe. It felt like a clash of titans, which is exactly why I think he would have been believable for Joe or for Lashley and for Roman as well. I think he could have done that. But if he does go to AEW, he could. He being that good could bring back legitimacy to a lot of the people we've been seeing flounder after horrible instances. I could absolutely see him revitalizing Eddie Kingston after he fainted because of sparklers that reminded him of prison. I could absolutely see him getting in. That's what he said. That's what he said.
That always gets me. It's funny. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. But that, to me, that absolutely ruined the character of Eddie Kingston. I know everyone's going to be really forgiving of him and say, but he's Eddie. If anybody can, it's him. He talked his way out of a paper bag and into a dark room. I was like, okay, cool. You're still look like a dude who fainted because of sparklers to me. And your excuse of, make fun of me for my anxiety because of prison. All right. I've worked in prison, not a lot of sparklers for one, and it doesn't look an awful lot like a wrestling ring with 3 feet of barbed wire around it. Like, fucking relax with that. So it didn't legitimize him one bit.
Yeah. I've always wondered what Homicide thought about that.
Ooh, I would love to know.
I'm so curious because that's his homeboy. And I'm like, he probably was like, man, you're a fucking puss. What the fuck?
And I wouldn't be surprised if Homicide actually did prison time, where I think Eddie Kingston kayfabe did prison time.
Yeah.
And I think it's become real obvious there. But either way, I do think Kingston's one of the absolute best that they have there. I think he's one of the most believable. And I think he's got a hell of a pit to get himself out of, and they don't use him. I think you have Joe show up and flick Eddie Kingston's hat right off of his head and get in his face and say, you used to scare me one time. You know what I mean? And then you go, oh shit, that dude scared Samoa Joe? And he goes, but you're nothing now. You know what I mean? And then you go, oh shit. And then you get Kingston getting back in his face being like, I don't scare you now. I should scare you now more than ever. And you have them go back and forth, put him in a match. Oh my God. You could absolutely rebuild Eddie Kingston off the back of Samoa Joe without hurting Samoa Joe one bit.
Yeah. And you could build Miro back as well too.
Yeah.
Into not being this joke and this sideline. And I think that that's incredible. And then also at the same time, you're also developing newer people. Because just imagine a Will Hobbs match versus Samoa Joe. Holy Nikes.
I thought that early, yeah.
Yeah, like, and I mean, and and he's growing and getting better and better every time you see him wrestle. That I think that Joe offers so much. And two, what you didn't mention is he's very, very well liked about his peers. Nobody has ever said a bad thing about Joe. I've never heard anybody say anything or that was negative about him. He's beloved by people. So I think that's what they kind of need in that locker room, is they need another figure that's like that there. That that a lot of these guys watched and they grew up and they loved this guy. And I think that speaks tons and tons of volume.
And I think what Joe would bring that the other people with their, quote, legitimacy coming in wanted to. The reason guys like Moxley, who's done much better lately, but he was doing it for a bit there, Moxley and Jericho and Miro, guys like them were leaving because they didn't like the goofy shit they were doing on TV. They wanted to do their own goofy shit, right? They wanted to make their own bad jokes. So now they can tell their own bad jokes and they feel better about it. Moxley, like I said, has started to steer away from the shitty jokes, and he's gotten a little more serious, and I like that. But Joe, I don't think has any desire to tell any jokes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which is good.
Which I think would be great.
Coming in to wrestle. That's not my thing. I'm not doing comedy. Yeah.
Joe is a game changer. He's a tone changer. I think, remember that promo he cut when everyone was in the ring? It was like Roman and Baron and Jeff Hardy and he just walked out there as he's doing it. He's just cutting each person. You're this. Ricochet or Mustafa Ali when he was he's like, you got real lucky throwing me over the rope. He's like, but your luck is up. Don't you trust me again? You know. And then when Jeff Hardy, he said something about Jeff Hardy. He's all like, I thought I already put an end to you. And then he's all like, come on, Joe. And he goes, why don't you act like it's AA and put the mic down and let the rest of the class talk until you're spoken to? And like Randy Orton was all like, oh my God, like.
And then he burned down AJ's house.
Yeah, and then you're like, how's Wendy, AJ? And you're like, fuck. I feel like in 30 seconds he could tear down Miro so bad that Miro has to be in a match with Joe that would rebuild him. Like he could immediately go like, glad to see you're the same joke you always were. You know, boom.
I'd love to see him tear down MJF.
Oh my God.
My God.
That'd be so
I'm living
good
for that right now.
Oh, they'd probably redo the hallway segment.
Yeah, they probably would because they're parodies. But I don't know. I don't know if we're missing anything there, but I think Joe's perfect. I think he could actually be to AEW what they keep thinking all these other people are going to be for AEW.
Yeah.
He could be the thing that actually changes them, that actually makes them come off more serious, more real, more believable, and less cartoonish. He could do that.
Here's my question. Has anybody heard like when you Sting? Okay. Has he really done anything like help mentor people besides just kind of saying, oh, Darby, that's his little project? I mean, but that's
pretty quiet.
He hangs out in the rafters and watches.
I got it. Hey, but
the hell happened?
Nothing. I got it. But here's the other weird bit about Sting. Lance Archer comes out and gets in Sting's face, and he's all like, I should be in the main event. I should be doing these matches, and here we are talking to you. And Sting's all like, you know what? You should. I love you. Jake, why don't you teach this guy how to actually do wrestling? I can't wait for you to be a huge star. I love you. And then they're both like, good. And then that was like the segment, and I was like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
And then they there to start shit, and Sting's like, you are right, sir. And I was like, what? Kuro coming through. Cheers to Kuro.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think Joe could be amazing for that. As far as some of these other guys,
awful promo. That was awful. Like what the hell?
They did early on. Anything else about Samoa Joe that we were missing?
No.
I mean, I feel like we just loved on the guy for 20 minutes.
Well, we do. I mean, what's not to love about Samoa Joe? If you don't like him, there's something wrong with you.
I agree.
You're a communist.
I agree.
Or you live in Delaware.
Yeah, or you live in nowhere.
Yeah, Delaware doesn't know what's up. Although I got an email the other day, like yesterday morning or this morning, and the fucking subject line was like, Delaware is the sexiest place for corporations to work. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
Why
don't...
Maybe if Delaware didn't focus on businesses fucking, it might be a better state.
Yeah. You see the balls on that business, dude?
Yeah.
Dude, I don't even...
That 501c3 is hung like a horse.
But I don't even know of any businesses that are headquartered in Delaware.
See what you did?
What?
How did we get here?
What'd I say?
Delaware?
Can we get back to wrestling?
Good point, Delaware. No, here's the deal. Yeah, we get back. Amanda's like, fine. Let's see. Yeah, Samoa Joe's incredible. Let's see. Kalisto, I like Kalisto a lot. I think wherever he pops, people are just going to be like, okay. I mean, he'll be fine wherever he goes, I think, and it's not going to be a big splash. Bo Dallas, to be honest, I don't know if we're ever going to see Bo Dallas again. I don't know that he's got desire to wrestle again. There's part of me where we saw an interview with him not that long ago where he was all like, I'm doing real good with my real estate business. I bought a farm and stuff.
Yeah,
And like,
I thought that was a while ago that he was. I thought that article was a while ago.
it was
So,
months ago.
yeah, so I thought around that time is when he I assumed that he left.
Yeah, I thought he was getting ready to stop wrestling in general. So
Yeah.
I don't know that we see Bo Dallas again. If we do, great. I love the guy. But I don't know that we see him again.
And I know that his sister is also just got into real estate, and the mom is in real estate too. So I think it's pretty cool. It's like a little family business.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's really good.
You know who isn't in real estate? The successful one, Bray.
Hey,
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that's the second family business. There's two family business. What the hell? What do we get?
Somebody turned on a Windows computer.
Oh, we got a bit. We got a bit. We got a bit. Kuro sent us a triangle bit. Woo! Oh, we got a cheers.
I don't know what that
Oh,
Hey,
yo,
woohoo! I don't know
Dirt
what
Chop
that
set that
means,
up a
but
long
woohoo!
time ago. You could cheers for a bit. He set that up a long time ago. Really cool. Let's see. Lunar says Bray is a goddamn wrestler, which is true. That's what I mean. There's two family businesses: real estate and Satan worship. So far as I know. Let's see. Out of that though, let's see. We had Wesley Blake, like we said, was a little bit weird to finally see this. The two out of the three Forgotten Sons be tossed. Tucker. I'm actually very curious what happens with Tucker moving forward. He's an amateur wrestler. He was, I think, an all-national. He was an ASU, so we hate him. But he tweeted out saying, I can't wait to tell my story. And he's already sent out like 4 or 5 tweets and seems all fired up. And I was like, whatever it is right now, I'm going to watch. I'm watching to see what you're doing because I'm really curious.
Yeah.
Chelsea Green...
That was expected. I mean, come on. Like, she makes her debut, blows her knee out. Or
It
whatever.
was a wrist. The wrist the second time. The first debut, she blew out her shoulder or her arm or her elbow. And then this time it was the wrist.
Yeah. She's
Oh,
accident
she's got hollow bones. She's got hollow bones.
Bonitis.
Bonitis. You know. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. But, I mean, it for her, I saw coming. I'm like, why would they bank on her? Because she's injury prone. You know, you've got two big ones. And, you know, and they're both kind of like within your, like when you were either debuting or like really close to, because I don't remember when the first one happened. But yeah, and it's like I wouldn't want that. You know, if I were a business owner, I would, you know, no. But I think that she would thrive better not in WWE. So in a way, it's a blessing, I think.
I think she's just going to go back to Impact and do what she was doing. She's going to be like Eric Young.
Hot mess.
Just go back, do
that.
whatever you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Her old man is there. So.
But here's the deal is I have respect for everyone who gets to where they get, right? I, at the same time, never enjoyed watching her gimmick or her wrestling. So I never got it. It never caught on to me. When people said, oh my God, it's Chelsea Green. Oh my God, she's amazing. I was always watching stuff and then looking at people who were like, this Chelsea Green we're talking about? Like, I just didn't see it. You know what I mean? So for this one, to me, it was just kind of like, okay. Like, it didn't bother me one way or the other. I know I was kind of annoyed by the fact that she was, like, openly trying to do Tessa Blanchard's entrance and then started doing, like, the librarian thing? Like, she was clearly taking her friends or enemies at this point. She was clearly taking other people's things that we had been seeing for years and now applying it now that she's on TV that she was never doing in her previous gimmick. So that kind of annoyed me, but I mean, who the hell am I? What do I know? I just watch. But outside of that, I was never impressed by her mic work, never by the wrestling, and so I hope she goes back to where she's happy. And I think that I think she did very, very well in Impact before. She can always go back and do well there again. Let's see, in the chat real quick. Lunar says some argued that they also still have Tegan Knox. And I saw Kuro's question earlier about Tyson, but we're going to get to that. He says some argue they still keep Tegan Knox. Yes, because Tegan Knox, when you watch her wrestle or hear her talk, I think is phenomenal. I think they kept taking a chance on Chelsea, and it was like a prove yourself moment where she kept breaking limbs. So, and I don't know, maybe that also means Tegan Knox's time is ticking. Maybe it could very well be. This could be like, hey, that you break one more time. And Tegan Knox has primarily been used in NXT, not on the main roster. And Chelsea Green, they tried to get on the main roster several times. I think it could also be a factor because now it's in front of Vince. And I think Vince has a low tolerance. And I know Vince very, very well. I know him as well as Meltzer does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Also, Justin Time says Chelsea Green also apparently just signed an extension as well. Yeah, I heard that too, but I don't understand contracts. Eleanor says, who was also worse off with injuries. I think he's talking about Tegan. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't have anything to say about Chelsea Green other than good luck, because, I don't know, she wasn't one of the ones I was watching. If there's something you guys want to say about him, it's fine. And she's got a lot of fans. A lot of people love her. A lot of people talk about how good she is, so I have confidence she'll be fine. Anything?
The only match I think I've ever thought she was any good in was at All In with her, Britt Baker, and Tessa. Well,
Okay.
the last thing I said was probably why it was good. But I mean, Britt held her own, surprisingly, but Tessa really is the workhorse in that.
So let me throw this out there, because thinking about a couple things. One, Chelsea Green is brittle boned. Two, she does her best Tessa Blanchard impression for her entrance. And three, since we're already talking about Tessa Blanchard, the other day, both Tessa and Sasha Banks in their Instagram story showed footage of them training together, where Sasha was putting the bank statement on Tessa. This is the second time this month that I've seen clips or Tessa somewhere in or around a ring where Sasha and or Bailey and I forget the other one. There was another WWE woman wrestler that we saw in the ring with her. Oh, Teal Piper. So I don't know if that's an indication of anything, but do you think it's actually possible that Tessa's on the way in, Tessa and Chelsea have bad blood, Chelsea's injury prone anyways, let's just make room?
Possibly. But I also think that with Tessa, because remember, AEW just got rid of a bad attitude in Evilise. But I think when you look at Tessa and that history that she's had, because Evilise had a very similar history too, that you want someone of that kind of caliber in the locker, because they don't have that. You know, you have the ones you've homegrown, through NXT, but you don't have someone who's like pretty much, I don't want to say the real deal, but I mean, you don't have that. And I think that if anybody, I think that WWE, I think would be more tolerant to any shenanigans, even though, her dad's at AEW, but I think that, they'd be a little bit more tolerant. And I think that, they could probably keep her on that line of, you say one damn thing, you're gone, and mean it. Whereas I think our friend 9 days can't do that.
Days.
Yeah, he's like, he's too much of a wuss. He can't do that. So, or at least I think he's a wuss.
Yeah. Let's see. Also with the Iconics, I think they'll probably pop up somewhere together. I do agree with you guys about Mickie James. I do think she'd be great in NWA. I think the Iconics would be probably fine wherever they go. But also with them, I was never into their matches. I was never into their characters. So I don't have like a mean thing to say, but I don't have a bunch of stuff of like, this is what makes them so good. I actually don't get what makes them so good. They're very, very popular. I find them obnoxious, and I don't find their matches good. So maybe that makes them great heels. Yeah. So I think they'll do fine.
They'll go to Ring of Honor.
The thing is, though, is it's been really bummer with Billie Kay, and her pairing with Carmella was actually turning us around. As we were watching WrestleMania, we were like, okay, Billie Kay's starting to make us laugh. This is a good pairing, her and Carmella. And I felt bad for Carmella. Just being like, oh my God, Carmella gets paired with someone, they do great things together, and then they just split them up. Yeah. I'm like, Carmella's got to be like on the edge of her seat right now, like, fuck.
Well, I'll just start packing.
Yeah. Back off TV for 3 months till they figure out what's next.
Which I hope not. Like, I've always liked the Iconics, so I was upset to see them go, but to me, they're talented, and I feel like wherever they go, they'll do a fantastic job. They're funny. it hits differently for different people. To me, I thought it was funny and silly. So I'm like, yeah, I can see them going somewhere. I think they'll end up in AEW. I think they'd fit better in AEW. Then again, I
can see
also partly am like, does AEW need more silly shit?
No.
Yeah, but that's what
That's
they
why
might think
Mojo
works.
Rawley-
They might think that Iconics would be perfect because they would be great tone for ours. They'll be a little comic relief because I think the Young Bucks think they're serious for one. But I think there's I think Peyton and her husband would probably like to be closer. I think Billy Kay's going to go wherever Peyton's going to go.
Who's her husband?
Sean Spears?
Oh, your
Yeah.
buddy.
Best friend,
You stopped that right.
most admired.
BFFL.
But I mean, I actually do think they'd probably be good in Impact. I think they'd make a good presence there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see with them. I'll say this, unless there's anything else you want to say about the Iconics, let's just say one thing about Mojo, or two things about Mojo real quick, and then we can move on. Anything you guys want to throw in about the Iconics?
No.
Mojo Rawley getting released was a real bummer to me. I've always taken notice of his interviews outside of the WWE, not just his like in-ring promos and stuff. And I got the chance to meet him one time, and talking to him and hearing those interviews, something I always appreciated about him was that he was never talking about how anything is anybody's fault. He would always say, I'm just trying to get better. If they're not putting me on TV, then I got to work harder. He always put the focus back in on himself and his own self-development. He never blamed, where you hear all the time, if you don't got 5 minutes for me, then your product's broken. Mojo never had that fucking attitude. It was never, if you don't have 5 minutes for me, your product's broken. He goes, if I can't earn 5 minutes, I must work harder. And I thought that was very cool. Yeah. Great work ethic. And the dude just been putting on size the past several years. Every time we see him, he looks better and better. I think even every time we see him in the ring, he's looking cleaner and cleaner. Like, I think there's a lot of potential there for him to do whatever he wants. His attitude is awesome. Talking to him, he was so nice to me in general. Bent over backwards to do some stuff for me. But I think that he could land anywhere, and I don't think that that means it has to be WWE or wrestling related. I think what we think would be cool is if he somehow ended up with the XFL. Not necessarily as a player, but potentially as a commentator or interviewer. He's got the pedigree and the ability to talk, and just that natural kind of funniness, the way he is engaging, that I think he could be like a Pat McAfee for XFL. Because Pat McAfee was with XFL before. I think that Mojo and Pat McAfee have very similar, although I think that the energy levels are different. I think it'd be really cool to see something like Mojo over in XFL or begin acting or something like that.
I think he'd make a great host.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, I could see him, like, is it John Cena who's on fucking Wipeout now? And it was and is, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he could do stuff like that for sure.
Mm-hmm. I think he'd be fantastic on that. And that's that, or a podcast. He has such a neat energy. He'd be cool as hell on a podcast. I'd listen to that.
Yeah. Actually, I think Samo Joe would make a great podcast as well. So, yeah, I
that would be frightening and amazing.
Yeah. Let's see. The one thing Kuro was saying in the chat was that his news about Kalisto was that he wanted to go home and would have needed weeks off to isolate going back and forth to Mexico, which is possible, but that's just it is. We don't get that kind of insight as to any of these things. Like I was saying in the beginning, there's so much complexity here. We all just see face value. This person's not with the company. We don't know how many of these people even approached them and said, look, if you're not going to use me, just let me go. And how many of them just said, okay, we'll do it in April. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know the conversations that they were having. Like we said, it could very well be, like you said before, hey, Joe, we want to keep you on as a commentator, not as a wrestler. And Joe could just say, I really feel like I got more matches. Just let me go and have a few more matches. I'll see you down the road. And it could easily just been like, all right, good luck. You know what I mean? Because, I don't know, if you're not going to use them, let someone else use them. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. So,
Speaking of John Cena, breaking news. They released the Fast and Furious 9 trailer with John Cena in it. Coming out June 25th. That's why my mouth was like, oh. I love those movies. So
Yeah, it looks
just-
pretty sick.
if you're fans of John Cena, you can now see him.
Oh, for the first time ever.
Yeah. Yeah. So this, in our, didn't see The Rock. So maybe The Rock isn't in there, but it would
I
have
don't
been
think he
great to
is.
see those two. Oh, he is? Well, maybe
No, I
just
don't think
didn't
he
show it.
is. No, I said I don't
no.
think he is. I think that was
Oh,
part of
okay.
the deal. I think they lost Rock because of all of his engagements and stuff. They said we need another big star like that, and they're like, well, John Cena, right? And they're like, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
let's
the
go
right
with the
answer.
Marine.
Yeah, original Marine.
Yeah. The original Marine. Hey, Miz was a good Marine too. I don't, DiBiase
on
kind of shit the bed, but anyways. I
I'll take your word.
digress.
Take your word on that. So I think that's all we had to say about the news on that. And I know we went on for a long time, but there's a lot of really good talent out there right now, and there's a lot of big opportunities for all of them. And I hope that they all capitalize on what they want. And like I said, I don't think this is the time to start shitting on a bunch of these people, or even. It's so weird that people just immediately go, "How dare WWE let these people go?" When at the same time, the narrative is consistently, how dare the WWE not just use these people correctly? Just let them go. We haven't seen them on TV. How long? Just let them go already. And then when they do, they go, oh, how dare you? And you're like, relax. You can't hate everybody for everything that they do or don't do. Just accept that this company's bigger than a softball team. It's not as simple of, well, the guy shows up every day, so just let him stay here forever. It's a company. It's a business. I said it earlier. Someone said that there was an interview with a wrestler, and they said just your yearly reminder that it's not a family, it's a business. And they're like, oh, I'm speechless. And I'm like, if you have to be paid to be there, it's not your family. It's not. And if you work for a company, I don't care what company it is, what industry it is, if you work for a company where they tell you day in and day out that you are a family, they are taking advantage of you in some way or another. Figure it out, because they are. They're either underpaying you, they're lying to you, they're taking advantage of you. No company wants you to think of them as family if they're not planning to take advantage of you. It serves the company only to serve them, for you to think of them as family, but they will not think of you as a family. Any company in the world.
Unless you really are a family. Or you
I
marry
have
into it.
seen, no, I'm going to tell you right, I've seen families. I've worked with a small family where it was the son-in-law opened up a business and hired his father-in-law, and I watched him fire his father-in-law because business is business and family is family. I've seen families. I saw a mother and son go into business together, and the son ultimately fired the mom because of whatever reasons. Just because you're family, it's still a business, and that's what I mean. If you're paid to be there, it is not a family. If they're telling you it's a family, they're taking advantage. Go ahead, Klump.
I was gonna say, and I know we're totally off the topic of wrestling, but it is it's a great fallacy, and it does work to, we all want that, but it does work to the advantage of the institution rather than the individual. It should be professional, it should be supportive, it should be there, but when you view it like that, I think of Radio Shack. I kind of viewed it like that, as they paid me terribly and treated me terribly. Keep it professional.
Right.
And,
but at the same time, they gave you that day off because your sister came to town or something, and so, because we're a family, we're going to give you this special day off for you. But it was still unpaid, and they still docked you. You know what I mean? That's how those companies work. When it's like, we're a family, it's because they'll give you a little something, and on the back end they'll take a note. Took a random day off because he claims sister was in town. But to your face, look, man, family is most important. We're all family here. Go ahead and take the day. Be with your sister.
And there's nothing really wrong with that. It's so crappy, but but
it is what it is.
Yeah, we unfairly apply it to wrestling. It's no, it's fucking wrestling. It's, we wouldn't think of it like, if when an NBA player gets retires or isn't signed, it's not so much that they gave up on him. It's family. That just wasn't performing there, or there's a difference to it, or an actor or an actress. It happens. It's all good.
It happens, and you wish for the best for them, and you believe in their ability to pull themselves into another job, right?
Hurricane Helms threw out a really cool tweet, I think, that's kind of relevant to the situation. and I thought was, like a positive in this spot. Let me see. We just set it up. 2 seconds.
I really hope it's the 10% one. I really hope you're about to pull up the one that talks about 10%. If you see it, also read it. Whoa! Best Frank forever. Coming through with the air horn. Giving us the old sub. Frank, we frankly love you.
Oh, I got it right here. From Hurricane Helms to those that got the call today, just about every successful person in this industry has received a similar call. It's not the end of your story. You're the author, and I look forward to reading more. I respect you all.
Yes.
We've heard time and again a lot of, Stone Cold Steve Austin got fired through FedEx before it was Stone Cold Steve Austin. It happens. What you do after it, Drew McIntyre got fired, and then redefined himself, and now he's Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of him. I don't see much in him, but hey.
Poor guy. Yeah.
Why do you guys have to do that? Come on. It's like we can't just be nice here tonight. We got to follow compliments up with just totally tearing him down.
Yeah.
Piece of shit as he may be, he got rehired.
Yeah. He's very successful despite all of my wishes.
I was thinking about Office Space and the one guy that goes to work every day and he just goes and he's not really getting paid or whatever. Who's that now in WWE? Because for a long time, I always was like, that's Alex Riley. But who is the modern day, the now version of that? You're like, oh.
I think they
get paid, but it's like they don't do anything.
But they don't do anything. I know, but but kind of like that, like, oh, you're forgotten, and then we're gonna put you in the basement.
Well, we'll figure it out. We'll see who it was, but I know that I think the thought was Bo Dallas for a long time on that one.
Yeah.
But because he just was there and he just didn't do it, and I think Cardona was. That's why he had the shirts that said "I'm always here," or "I'm still here." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Then when they fired him, it just said "I'm not there." So funny.
Yeah.
Frank coming through real quick saying the title belt icon. That's correct. Frank, if you look closely on that, that's the 5 o'clock somewhere title based off of it's a mixture between our Wrestling on the Rocks title and the 24/7 title, the 5 o'clock somewhere title.
Ooh.
That's what you get when you first sub. If you look up, I think you see a few of them. The Wrestling on the Rocks one has the ultimate, the big gold version. Oh, if you look up, Just in Time has the IC. Lunar's got himself the purple Universal. Yeah, there's some good ones in there. I think Dorchop is the only one who's got himself the AEW title, though. So, but you'll get there, man. You'll get there. I don't think I have anything else news-wise other than good luck to all of them. And like I said, a lot of name power, so it was a lot more shocking. There's a lot of times where you read them and go, well, that makes sense. Well, that makes sense. Well, I could see that. This one had a whole lot of like, really? Wow. I mean, they just were doing a thing. They just did a thing. So, but if you guys are ready, we can move on to AEW. I'm gonna take that as disrespect.
Oh yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. Do you want the synopsis of the 4 hours of TV that YouTube TV that whatever?
There's a really shitty soap opera, and then a wrestling match broke out in the middle of it.
Yeah. No, but
live from Jacksonville. It's Wednesday night live. That's how I feel.
No, but they have Monday night taped and Tuesday night taped.
Says they already have a Samoan named Joe. If he's talking about WWE, that's Roman. If he's talking about AEW, I have no idea if they have any Samoans there. But Amanda,
well, actually, technically, kind of they do, because I think Aaron's part of an Islander, but I don't remember what Solo. I'll dig that up. So
yeah, look that up.
Yeah, girl. Oh yeah, I'll look that up.
Very cool.
Just so you know,
give us the word. What's going on with AEW? I did not watch almost anything this week. I saw Tyson actually hit, I believe it was Cash.
Yes.
And it looked real good. And he went down. He didn't pull a Sean Spears where he's all like, I'm tougher than Mike Tyson punches.
Yeah.
Cash knows that, hey, there's money in being knocked out by a motherfucker. So I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And apart from that, go ahead.
Well, I'll say the dark elevation It's actually becoming a really good, tight little show. I think it's probably in some weeks, it actually is better than watching Dynamite. Sad to say. Yeah, and I think because the quality of the matches, because they're really utilizing, kind of, I don't want to call them the B team because they really aren't the B team, but they're utilizing, like, they're really utilizing the hell out of Ethan Page. Same with Scorpio Sky in that platform, and a lot of those guys, and I think that's incredible. So that they're doing that, and they're even using a lot of the best friends too, so individually. So I think it's, it's developing, and as time goes on, Paul White is becoming a pretty damn good person that I could actually see him at the desk during Dynamite. Might, take, Shivani out of there, and I think that might be nice just to get another perspective. Instead of,
that's cool that Big Show's really coming to his own there, because he
Yeah.
did say it was his dream and his passion, and
Yeah,
as much as that was, I mean, I don't know the guy, so I believe it.
we don't
I
know the
think it's
guy.
awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. But
But-
and I will say,
He's awesome. So yeah.
Dark. I'm trying to think of Dark. Dark is another interesting one because they throw a lot of things in it, but I think they're trying to get away from, you have to watch this and this in order to understand Dynamite, because
Okay, good.
Elevation's its own thing, which is great. Love that.
Mhm.
So, but Dark, they're slowly transitioning away from that. So
Good. They should. Absolutely. And I hope that that's being listened to, especially because they have to see that the viewers they get through TNT are much larger than the viewers they get on YouTube. They've got to see, like, hey, we can't continue to only be delivering for the YouTube audience. We've got to
Exactly.
deliver for the rest.
exactly. And then I want to point out, not because it's Ricky Starks, but his match on Dark he teamed with Cage again.
Rick- Yeah.
I'm not
No,
getting
raise your
Cage
hand
either.
if you believe her.
Nothing wrong with saying
No,
he's fine.
I mean,
He's fine.
okay,
Yeah.
this is like character work 101. You need,
Good.
like, I mean, it's like, I'm like, wow. A lot of people need to watch that, because when they think that, oh, I've got this great character, no. How do you work it? And so, I mean, he wasn't even wrestling, and like what he was doing took my attention away from some of the stuff in the ring. It was quite a treat. So I recommend
Starks
that,
is phenomenal.
not because it's Ricky Starks, just because it was actually good storytelling in that sense.
He's one of those dudes where if he knows he's on camera, he will take advantage of that in the best ways. Because I really get the impression that, I mean, we don't know anything, but I'll present it like I do. I'll pretend to be Meltzer. That's what he sounds like. But from a Meltzer perspective, it really seems like Tony just tells Taz, you guys got 4.5 minutes. Go. Figure it out. And I feel like that Taz goes, don't worry, guys, I got it from here. Because Taz is just going to put himself over for 4.5 minutes. And I feel like Ricky's all like, I'm going to find my moment, and I'm stealing the whole fucking segment real quick. And he'll do it in fucking 15 seconds. You'll have Taz talking about how amazing Taz is and how great he is and how he's the best coach ever and how it's a good thing he gave Brian Cage the FTW title because now it doesn't mean anything and used to be legendary. And then you'll have Ricky Starks come in and be like, "Wah!" and become a bobblehead and steal the whole segment and make amazing character work. I think it's amazing. I love Ricky Starks on there.
I agree with that.
He had a match with Hangman Page, right? I want to see it.
I want to see that.
I believe he had a match with Hangman Page. And I got to double check because I'm looking at the card here. Why did Amanda walk away during AEW? She knows she's our AEW correspondent. This is why it's episode 1, guys. This
I
is
got
how we get
demoted.
stuck here. What?
I got demoted, didn't I?
No, I mean, it's a promotion, I think.
Yeah. That's fair.
Although, let's talk about this for a second because she's gone. Did you see the Darby Allin Matt Hardy thing? Wait, that was the main event. The Young Bucks
No.
were opening? The Young Bucks opened,
Yep.
right? All right.
Yeah,
so
the
talk
Young Bucks
about that.
opened it. It was fantastic. It was better than it had any right to be, and it was better than I think anyone expected, which was great. It was a Young Buck match in that it told a fantastic story with spots mixed with other things, and it didn't feel like so many Young Bucks matches that felt like we got to get all this shit in. This felt like, let's do a good match. We'll put ourselves into it, and it worked really, really well.
Now, I heard some people saying this feels like old NJPW heel Young Bucks. I was turned off by the entrance. I started to go, okay, well, I should be watching it. I watched the entrance and went, I'm not watching this. Because in their entrance, they come out like children pretending to be bad kids.
Yeah.
Chewing gum. I'm going to chew gum real loud. Chewing gum at all is obnoxious. You look like a jackass eating gum at all. So you don't need to be like slapping it around, being like, look, I'm chewing gum. And look at me walk a little bit different. And so I was fucking over. And plus I love this part. I've seen both sides where people go, look at how amazing it is they did this. And other people say otherwise. Their sneakers were knockoffs. They weren't the actual Dior Nikes. Yeah. They were knockoffs. Yeah. And some people are all like, oh, it's a great thing because they're heels and they're pretending they have them. And other people are like, oh, because they're ballers, they have the real ones. And sneakerheads are all like, I don't even mind if it was the fake ones. Most people won't know, so they're going to think it's real. I've seen other sneakerheads being like, were they using fake ones on purpose? It's just funny to me that that's such a conversation right now.
Yeah, I mean, they have real ones, yes. If you watch BTE, they, when they got them. But I love the fact that they were fake. And I love the fact that people are talking about it, which is kind of funny. But and I apologize. I'm sorry, I had to get a call real quick.
That's fine.
Cheers to my mom. She's in the hospital right now. And
cheers.
Cheers.
So well wishes are appreciated. Thanks, Mom. So I had to call her because she hasn't called me back all day. So she had to call me. No. So sorry about that.
100%. 100%. No. I mean, and the fact that you even wanted to come on today, that was a big thing too. Yeah. Her mom's in the hospital right now. She messaged me right away and said, hey, I'm about to send out a tweet saying my mom's in the hospital. I just want you to know I want to be on the show. I like hanging out with my friends. She likes coming over and having a drink with Klump and with us. And we appreciate her coming through. And yeah, we nothing but well wishes for your mom, 100%, all of that. So anybody who's listening who sends out positive energy in whatever form you do that, if you pray, if you just expel demons, if you burn sage, whatever it is you do, put it out there in the universe towards her mom.
Voodoo doll, whatever. It all works for me. But it was cool because yesterday I was with her last night and we watched Dynamite together. And it was very interesting getting her perspective on things. So like with this Young Bucks match, one of the things that she said, and it was funny because I was like, oh, okay. She goes, these guys, she goes, what is their background? And I go, what do you mean, like their background? Are they gymnasts? Are they like some kind of weird athlete? Or like, they do trapeze?
Great.
And I'm like, trapeze, like what, I'm like, no, I don't think so. I think they just, with the Bucks, they had a trampoline in their backyard. Now, I don't know about like Pac and Phoenix. I don't know what they did before, but it was really interesting. And because obviously she doesn't watch this. The only thing like I hear her say is sometimes like, oh, that guy has a nice butt. Isn't that your friend with the nice butt?
Oh yeah,
Mom. Yeah, it is, Mom. Yeah, unfortunately, and that's like my mom's wrestling, or she only knows like anybody, like producer lady, like from like Total Bellas and Total Divas, and now Ms. and Mrs. So that's my mom. That's my mom's wrestling, what she watches. So
I can't wait for her to see the new the Brandy Rhodes one. I want to know what she thinks of that.
Oh, I know. I told her there's a new one. Back. She said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Yes." So I told her she has to. Yeah, she has to watch.
Right before you tell me what you're thinking of this match, Best Frank Forever in the chat does say, I came to chew bubblegum and super kick ass. I brought plenty of bubblegum for the entire class. 100%. A little Roddy Piper shout out. A little bit of They Live. A little bit of the Young Bucks. Yeah, they were slapping gum like it was flavorless.
They always do
just
that,
to get
though.
it. I hate it. All right. Amanda, what do you think of this?
Going back, because everyone's like, that's the Young Bucks of old. Goddamn right it is. I mean, it was really campy, which it's supposed to be. The skill set is amazing, because I know people think, oh, they've tagged with, Phoenix before, whatever, right? Well, never tagged with Pac from my recollection, whatever. But, and, you know, so that this was an interesting dynamic because it made me remember that, yeah, Pac really, when he's in his element, he's really in his element, and it's great. And I think that this was the kind of Young Bucks that we're supposed to be seeing. It's the old Reseda Young Bucks. You know, it's the one, like the obnoxious things that they used to do with Kevin Owens, you know, as a triple, and same with Adam Cole. It's all these jokey things, you know, with like Mount Rushmore and stuff. So I think that I thought it was fantastic because it was a throwback to that. Do I want it to continue? Absolutely, because there's a lot of lessons that could be taught to like people like Top Flight, Private Party, because I'm sorry, they're as good as they are, they could be a hell of a lot better. And I think that Private Party is one that, you know what, they got signed and they kind of slacked off. You're living off the fame. So yeah. I think that when you see some of these things and these people who can really tell a good story, because I know flippy shit, you know, first thing I thought was, oh, Bishop's gonna be all this flippy shit, whatever. And I'm like, no, it's not about that. It's about, you know, there's an artistry and a beauty to it. And my mom was like blown away. She's like, it's like Cirque du Soleil. I go, well, yeah, but they hit each other and it's sweaty. You know, well, I don't know about if it's sweaty at Cirque du Soleil because I've never seen one, but she was telling me that she thought it was like Cirque du Soleil. And of course, the next match, she was like, "What? But no." But
is that not a problem? Don't you want it to be like, oh my God, this is a fight? Do you want it to be like, oh, this is like Cirque du Soleil? Because I've been to Cirque du Soleil and it is beautiful, but it is very cooperative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well, you know, for me, you know, it depends on how you watch your wrestling. Like, I think I'm different and I'm weird because there's certain things that I look for in my tastes and whatever. But when you have four people who are really excellent at what they do, they're all together in this ring, it just kind of works. It's a symphony, and it just works. And I mean, what's wrong with that? I'd rather see that than four assholes who, like, you know, they don't even know what they're doing, you know, and they miss spots, or, you know, they don't know how to run the ropes, you know, stop, break character, no sell, you know, all of that. You know, I'd rather watch something like that than these other things. So, and I think it was also a really good way to keep, because let's be real, everyone's saying that they did over 1 million, and it's not because it's AEW. It's because Mike Tyson was there. That's what it is. It's 2 words. Yeah. That name still puts butts in the seats. It wasn't anything to do with Tony Khan or anything.
I think that there's a number of things here. So, yeah, the numbers came out. I was not surprised Klump doesn't have his AEW title strapped on his shoulder right now, because AEW got what appears to be 1.2 million known viewers through TNT, where NXT on their Tuesday Unopposed got 800,000. This was a bigger swing than we usually see. Usually when they were going head to head, there was like anywhere from like 30,000 to 200,000. It seemed to fluctuate. Mm-hmm. So I thought the most we would see even pop would be 200,000, because I was like, well, best case scenario, all 2,000 people who flip back and forth will just pick one, right? Both of them popped by much more than that general margin, which I thought was fantastic and crazy and good. But I also wondered, is this because they're separate? Were people trying to tune in Wednesday night, couldn't find NXT, found AEW, and said, I guess I'll watch it? Was it because Mike Tyson is there? I think it's going to be more of a longer story there. Plus, we also know that streaming services, a lot of them do not report ratings, so some of those numbers are going to be skewed regardless. But, I mean, Best Frank Forever does say, Cirque du Soleil. So for you, Amanda. If anybody wants to be in the chat, derail the show, be part of the show, twitch.tv/Wrestling on the Rocks is where we see all the chatter. We're still live on Twitter. We're live on YouTube. We're live on my personal Facebook if you happen to be a friend. But we don't catch all of those comments the same way we definitely catch Twitch. We do catch them, most of them, some of the time. But that's the best way to make sure you're there. Twitch.tv/Wrestling on the Rocks.
And be cool and respectful.
Yeah. Good point.
I see it all.
Producer sees it all. She doesn't always block and mod people, but she sees and she judges. She I can.
Yeah, no. But yeah, the ratings thing, I'm not shocked that NXT picked up more people, because now you don't have that feeling of, oh my God, I got to flip channels, or what am I going to devote my time to? So I like that it's on a different day.
Right. So
that's just me.
We won't go too far in depth because we're all relatively dumb. But one of the things Bischoff talked about, and some of the other people who are big on numbers, it's a weird compliment, that Klump's like, this feels better.
Thank you.
No one believes during the Monday Night Wars who was in the industry. All of us fans believe it because we don't know any better. We're all pretty dumb, including Meltzer, especially Meltzer, mostly Meltzer. He's dumbed us all. But there wasn't actually 9 million people watching both Nitro and Raw. That because of the way the Nielsen ratings worked, it actually double counted a lot of people. And because people were flipping back and forth, some people were counted multiple times outside of that. So there's really no way to know, because of the way they were tracking it, to actually know how many people were watching. So I also don't necessarily buy into the fact of like the lowest number of people in the history of all time ever watch wrestling now. WWE videos on YouTube still get like 9 million views. So people are still paying attention, right? However, I might watch the same video 3 times, 3 views, right? We know that. Yeah. So numbers can skew. But I was surprised NXT did so well. I expect them to do worse. I thought they were going to do like 400,000, because I was like, well, there's going to be a lot of people who just don't flip over. There's going to be a lot of people who say, you know what, I have Wednesday nights off. I don't have Tuesday nights off. I thought there was going to be growing pains of relocation of time. So the fact they did better, I was like, this is fucking fantastic. The fact that AEW broke 1 million for the first time since their debut, amazing. Yeah. Now they have more money to give to Samoa Joe, guys. But I do think it's interesting, because that also means that 50,000, 200,000 that was like seemed to be a variable on the Wednesday night head to head may have been a different number than we realized altogether, because of the inaccuracies of those numbers. So I don't know. It's really cool, but we're all kind of dumb. I just think it's neat, but I don't have an answer. I'm not going to give you some insight.
It just means you get extra dough from advertisers. That's all.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And we don't, it's not like we see a dime, so why are we arguing about it on social media? If they kick down some of that money, sure. But they don't. So get over it.
I love that. We as fans don't see a dime. Why are you arguing about it on social media? That shit doesn't roll downhill.
Yeah, no. And then we have to pay $250 to get a shitty floor seat to watch AEW when it's live, in your town. So
a new shirt it's like a new 7 shirts every week too. So it's all like, if you were the type, because I know a guy who for a while was trying to have every AEW shirt that came out, and also like, be careful.
How much into debt has he gone into?
I think he lives at home still, but he's a young guy. He's really young. He's really cool. And actually, you know what?
Fans.
No. I don't mean that way. Like I say, he's a really young guy. Matter of fact, he started wrestling training. I think one day you'll see him, and I'll tell you offline when you do. Mm-hmm. But I think one day we will see him in that ring, and we will see him on TV. And I think that he's doing a tremendous job. He's sent me a couple of his matches that he's had at a notable training facility, and he's been really cool to talk to you about that.
You'll have to show me, because I'm like,
officially I'll say no, but talk to me offline.
Okay, but you should show me, because I'm kind of like I've have that eye for what if they have potential and what they need to do. I'm not. Oh, yeah. I'm tuning my own horn right there, but it's true. Yeah. So
it's always worked. So apart from that numbers jump, Klump's still not repping the AEW title. He's bitter. I get it. We all are, man. No, what else happened on AEW that we were really excited about? I know that Jade Cargill came out, had a match against Rev Velvet, and I heard that Cargill looked like $1 million, but she always looks like a star, which I think is great. Yeah. I saw part of the match. I wasn't impressed, but I think we'll get there. I think her look and her presence is enough right now, and I think that Hopefully they scoop up somebody like a Mickey James who can help fine tune
Build
that.
her a
But
little, make her more dimensional. Yeah.
yeah.
I think that with Jade, she's got, to me, there's a quality in her that reminds me of Beth Phoenix.
Yeah.
And I love Beth. I mean, and I see that potential with it. Red Velvet still has a lot of growing pains. She just kind of got thrust into the spotlight, I think, because, having a baby. But I think that it's working. And with Jade Cargill, it's great to see that happens. I also think because you saw like a total testament of her strength, and now you're just kind of throwing around Red Velvet, that if they started to do intergender, that's a good person that could be one if trained correctly. Like you could see her and like a Statlander do intergender. But I don't know how Toady feels about that. But then again, whatever, it's his money, not mine. We don't see a dime. So
that's true.
yeah, I mean, that was kind of my take with it, because the more she's wrestling, it's like you've got the potential, and she's got that quality that she could be like a Beth Phoenix and be very dominating, without like going this like I'm gonna scare the shit out of you route, like a Nyla Rose.
She's got to pick a route. She's either going to end up the female Giant Gonzalez or the female Beth Phoenix. She's got to pick a route, because at the end of the day, if she relies, which is to me as of now, she's relying very heavily on her look to get her the whole way to the show.
Yeah.
Because she's had no reason to believe otherwise. If she's not careful, she's going to end up Giant Gonzalez, where it's like, yes, you're a giant. Yes, you're big. Yes, you look impressive. No, nobody wants to see that anymore. Right?
Mm-hmm.
She's got to get to a point. She's got to at least get to a mental point that the Bellas got to, and Michelle McCool got to, and was it Maurice I heard very good things about, in that vein of, I know I was hired because of my looks, but I need to perform in the ring on a level that people don't expect. She needs to get there mentally. I have no idea. I don't know. I'll pretend to be Meltzer. She's just not there yet. I don't know. Maybe she is. But the development has to happen to where we see that as well. GR Lunar is in the chat. He does say, damn, if I ever get back in the ring, I'm going to have Amanda critique. And you should. I made him a t-shirt, which he never had printed. Fuck you, Lunar.
I can, if you have a match, I can go back and look. And then, unfortunately, if you hear good things from me, then I don't know. Maybe we can get.
I trained with him. He's soft. I'm kidding.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
I
did train with him.
I'm sorry.
But yeah.
The thing is getting to me.
Let me see. Klump, is there anything else in here? The other thing, I saw Anthony Ogogo's match, the whole thing, where he punches a guy and then they falls and they call it. I don't really care about that, but I get what they're doing. It's fine.
Anthony Ogogo, bless him, but no. I'm shaking my head.
I mean, it was the fucking midsection punch. Even in boxing, you don't see that end a match.
Yeah, but I'm like,
mean?
no. I mean, I'm sick of these. Let's get someone who's not in their element. This is Tony Khan's way of being like WWE, where we get a model and we make them a wrestler or whatever.
Yeah.
You got a boxer that he wants to make into a wrestler. Well, sometimes that doesn't happen. It's not a good thing.
But it could. I think though, this is also what it did to me. It didn't sell a go-go as being a badass. It sold whoever that was as being a puss. And not chump, because he was a chump. He got punked out, because we're meant to believe everyone who gets on your TV. JR said this about Bill Watts. JR said that he went after calling a match where one of the top stars went up against an enhancement talent, a job guy as they called him at the time back in the territories, where he said, this is an uneven matchup, this guy's a star, this guy's this, and downplayed the guy. Bill Watts said, you ever down talk a job guy again like that on my air, and you're fired. And JR is like, what are you talking about? And he goes, I don't book people. Why would this television show ever present that I would bring in somebody who's not a top caliber talent? Everyone who makes it to the TV earned their way there. And if they lose in quick fashion, it's because that guy is so much better than an even elite player. You know what I mean? So the idea they bring in this no-name job guy, have him job out the way that they did, talked about that weak-ass fucking midsection punch, I'm believe the job guy to be worse than ever, and I believe Ogogo to have gotten lucky one time. It doesn't come off as, like Lawler said in some of his interviews, if you're going to beat somebody, make sure that person comes off as a somebody. Otherwise, you beat nobody at all. This was beating a nobody at best. Yeah. And that sucks because I think that Gogo has a lot going for him. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes.
He could have fought. They could have put, was it number 5 from the Dark Order? Because 5 kind of is that jobber guy for the Dark Order. And that would have been more impressive than some random dude we don't even know who it is and whatnot.
Yes. We've never seen him. It looked like they put pants on a fan and said, go out there and see what happens. Mm-hmm. They didn't act like this was an elite athlete getting their opportunity on TV. They acted like, here's some random schmo who caught a ride here and happened to be wearing spandex. We thought, why the fuck not?
And who's
You know what I mean?
Yeah, who's sober.
Yeah, who's sober.
He's not gonna vomit. Yeah, in the ring.
Yeah. We have faith he won't puke in the ring. He's ready to fight.
Yeah, he's ready.
That's what the whole thing came off to me as, and I think Ogogo deserves better than that. So hopefully his next bout will be against somebody who plays that up differently, or at least maybe he can go for a headshot instead of like punching a dude in the thigh and he gets knocked out. What the fuck? Yeah. But anyways,
but then you get Tyson, same show, and Tyson's like punching, throwing punches out there, and you're like, whoa, that's pretty gnarly. That's badass.
It's all good. Keep it going. Play through.
Heck, what the heck? Uh-oh.
Yeah, play it through.
Yeah.
Did he poo himself?
Uh-oh. No, but
it's always a possibility.
I don't rule out any options.
Yeah, but but Tyson, man, I mean, that was, you can't. I think that's why they had a go-go debut on that, because they knew they had Tyson there. But boxing. Let's get people into the boxing people into this. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it was like night and day. So, because to be honest, I'd rather see Tyson go at it in the ring with somebody.
Yeah. Lunar says he thinks it was supposed to be a liver shot. He goes, those actually suck, but not a great finish. Also, those are wicked illegal. So,
yeah.
Wouldn't it have been great if the ref calls the match, but the loss goes to Ogogo? Saying you can't just fucking sucker punch a dude in the... But, I mean, this is the same company that celebrated the win of Jake Hager after he fucking kneed a dude in the balls 3 times and got DQ'd. They called it a no contest. And they're like, well, you didn't lose. No, because he kept kicking the guy in the dick, and they told him to stop it. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't expect AEW to suddenly come together and be like, you know what rules make sense? Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. But
no,
I hear you.
No.
Tell me about the main event, or, I mean, I guess there's like 4 more matches here. Wait, what else happened on AEW before we get to NXT?
Oh, gosh. Honestly, to be honest, the Kenny Omega crap is just whatever. It is what it is. It's very boring. It's getting stale. My suggestion is, can you bring other people from Impact besides the Good Brothers over? Throw Moose in here. Okay, throw Moose. Moose would be great with a lot of people on the roster.
Forbidden Door! 9 days to the Forbidden Door!
I swear to God, you should be your Halloween costume. We'll dress you up like Tony.
No way.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
God.
Year.
Producer lady,
I'm going
as little.
Yeah, I'm going as Little Nate this year.
I don't think.
Big Nate.
What?
I'm Big Nate.
You're not blonde.
Nate of size.
You're not blonde, though.
Nate of reasonable
We can
size.
fix that. That's easy.
That's the easy bit. That's the easy thing. She's like, you have to be clean shaven. I was like, I'll be Hogan Nate.
You can't. No.
Do a big blonde. Do everything else the same, but have a blonde handlebar mustache and just a dark beard with Little Nate hair, and be all like, "What? What's the?"
Or no.
No, then he's just gonna unfollow us.
If Little Nate was Little Hogan, that's what I'll be.
Oh no.
All right.
No. So then you'd be a little racist. That's not good. Not good look.
This did not go the way I thought it was going to go. I didn't know we were going to get there. I didn't know that's what... Klump knew! Klump
knew! Yeah! You didn't see me tweet like every time they showed Hulk, like, remember? Yeah.
Amanda, I set that thing to give me half your tweets.
I did.
I'm just kidding.
Hey, it was amazing watching the live feed versus the network when he came out, and it's like, oh, they really changed the crowd sound here.
Mm.
Mhm.
They may have sweetened it up
Yeah.
a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, they gave it diabetes.
Yeah. And and honestly, I'll tell you, like Matt Hardy again, that's another one. I'm like bored with his shit. I'm like, whatever. Yeah, well,
He just lost his dad.
I know, but still,
We didn't kill him.
We didn't kill him.
It's not my fault.
Not well, yeah.
God, sorry.
But
My
no,
condolences, you suck.
You suck. No,
If you're hearing us for the first time, we are not an easy crowd.
no, but and then no disrespect. But I'm just saying, like that match
Don't
with
blame me
Darby. It's
for
like
that
no. It's like kudos for you guys to actually finally have Darby, defend that belt. But no, not Matt Hardy. There's other people, especially because I will say, what they have teased for next week, I think is going to be a very, very good
9 days on
Dynamite.
9 days
Because
on Dynamite.
you answered Christian Cage's call,
Go ahead.
Mr. Will Hobbs. So that's going to be an amazing match. I don't think we'll win, but look at that. I mean, that was kind of cool out of nowhere because I didn't think that was gonna happen. And we're gonna
Hobbs against
see
who?
Christian Cage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it was very interesting because I thought if anyone was gonna get that, I thought it was gonna be Ricky, but it was
Yeah, he was
Hobbs,
gonna
and
get
I'm
that
like,
ass.
I'm thrilled to death that it's Hobbs. Thrilled to death with that, and it's not Cage. That would be cool though, cage match in a cage, but
Yep.
somehow I don't think Tony gets
Special
that.
guest referee Nick Gage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Which I'm glad actually now that Mox is getting that, speaking of Nick Gage, now that he's getting out of kind of that, forced kind of funny and he's doing his own funny. I think with him going to JCW, it makes more sense to me now that he wanted a real death match. He wants a real death match. He doesn't want sparkler death match. So
We'll find out. Take cover.
That's him. That's him. And then of course we get next week. The other one they teased is Ricky Starks versus Hangman Page. Apparently Ricky somehow called him out. I don't know when that happened, but yeah, because he's like, I'm 10-0 in singles right now. I want the best. And
Who? Ricky said that?
yeah, apparently that's what Excalibur was trying to say when they announced the match.
Ricky's 10-0. He's binary. That doesn't sound
I
right.
think that's what they're saying.
The dude's
In singles.
lost a bunch of. I mean, that's got to be this year alone, right?
No, it's probably all time. But,
No, because he lost to Darby like 4 times.
but most of them were in a tag, so
Oh,
it doesn't
that could be-
count.
That could be.
It doesn't
that's
count
right.
to your singles record.
All right, I'll give.
I
you
don't know,
that.
but their rating system is stupid. But anyways, we're getting Hangman versus. I don't know. Don't understand it. They should get rid of it. And then you had Britt Baker. This is another thing. I forgot about this one. She tried to justify the stupid, the ratings. Sweetheart, nobody cares.
Yeah,
They don't
work.
follow that shit.
Tony Khan doesn't even remember them.
No, he doesn't. I don't know who the heck does it. It's there. It's designed to be something that people on the internet can fight about and yell. That's what I think it is now.
Smart.
So I don't know.
All
That's
right.
my 2 cents.
So
But
I
yeah.
thought you said that Ricky Hangman was this week. If it's next week, I'm excited.
No, it's next week. I thought it was going to be
Oh.
this week too, because the way my mom was her doctor or so, I don't know who it was, came in and like during this thing, and I was like, oh my God, is that coming up next? And I was like, I didn't see, and I'm trying to like not be rude and
Right.
okay, what's going on with my mom? Oh my God, what's going on with Ricky Starks? What's going on with my mom? Yeah, no. So
The nurse
I'm not
comes
that
in, you're
kind
like,
of
shh, Ricky's on TV.
And then, of course, when she saw him in the little promo part, she was like, isn't that your friend with the nice butt? And I go, oh, God, Mom. Right. And I'm like, she said it so loud that her RN, who was a dude, came by and he was laughing. He's like, your mom just said that guy has a good butt. I go, well, he does. But I mean,
Oh, my mom's not
yeah.
blind.
She's loopy. She's loopy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I always figured if Amanda's mom was half as sassy as Amanda Man, she's got to be pretty funny.
Oh yeah.
You know, I get it from both my mom and my dad. My dad, when he was alive, rest his soul. Yeah, he was a very opinionated person. But my mom can be very spunky, and so
She
yeah,
probably takes
and
no
that's why I
shit.
think, yeah, and that's why I think because she met Marty Skrull, and Marty, anytime I see Marty, 9 times out of 10 he'll ask me, "How's your mom? How's your mom doing?" And I'm like, "What the hell did you?" You know, he only met her once, and he, you know, I don't know. He thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. So I don't know. I don't know. But
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll have to get her
so
on
we're
the show.
getting some good matches. So yeah, I'm just saying next week I'm a little biased, but I'm going to say it's probably going to be a better Dynamite than it's been lately. But of
Right.
course they're going to throw in their fodder of, you know, you're going to see some stupid thing with like probably Miro and Kip Sabian, which I really that needs to go away. You'll probably see something with the best friends, and then of course we'll see this weird Kenny Omega crap and whatever. And I think we'll either get Death Triangle somehow, or it's either Death Triangle we'll get, or we'll get Dark Order, something with Dark Order. But I don't know. Those are the only 2 matches I saw that they had announced. There's probably more, but
All right.
I think it'll be better next week.
Hopefully it is. Hopefully they keep bringing in people. I do think that regardless of the fact that I'm not enjoying AEW, if 1.2 million people are watching it every week, then fuck yes. That allows for a little bit of spice. Although I don't know that I consider them anywhere near, even if their ratings are similar to Raw. Let's just say they get to that like 1.5, 1.6 area that Raw kind of floats in. I don't think of them as competition to WWE on that level whatsoever, because they're strictly just getting ratings on a TV show right now, where WWE's turned themselves into such a global force. I mean, they're selling NFTs, they got the stocks, they've got they've got multiple shows on multiple networks who fight over who's going to get WWE. The amount of charity to work they do. That's the other thing about Mojo. Mojo was doing so much charity stuff, so that's another reason why I just love them. But the amount of charity they do, all that stuff, that I think that it's a really great place for AEW to get their footing right, and then to grow from there. And an awesome place. So when you see stuff like what happened today, where it's like, oh no, they let go like 10 people, you don't think to yourself, what will ever happen? You go, they'll be a good fit over here, or they'll make money over there. Like, I like that that's the conversation so much, is like, well, fuck, they're gone forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then speaking of Mojo, I actually saw Sean Ross Sapp had a really good tweet about Mojo and some of the charity work that he does. And I was like, wow, it's as much fun as we make of him and think, oh my God, that guy's a clown. I'll tell you this. I think that if we saw Mojo, he might be at AEW, and I think he's going to bring his friend, the Gronk. Because Tony loves to, well, maybe not because of the football thing, but Tony likes to bring in all these, celebrity athletes. Why not?
Yeah, but Gronk's a former WWE former WWE champion. He's a 24/7 champion. He's got to come back and get that title back. So but I don't know. Who knows?
But hey, he's got history. He was a champ. So yeah, there you go.
That's true. Former champ.
Yeah.
You guys ready to talk about NXT?
Let's do it.
NXT.
Oh, before we talk about NXT.
All but NXT.
It's all on NXT. No, this is NXT related. I believe today is Leon Ruff's birthday, if I'm not mistaken.
It was yesterday or something like that. But yes, happy birthday.
Yesterday?
And
happy birthday, man.
To Leon Ruff. Man, what an awesome story he's had. As much as 2020 was a shit year for a lot of people, I think of Leon Ruff and Aja Smith as the face of 2020, in that they had a tremendous year. In that year, they got their dream jobs. They both got signed with WWE. They both ended up on TV. He ended up a champion. They got engaged with each other. I'm like, what an amazing couple, and what an amazing 2020 year that they had in the midst of the chaos that was 2020. So yeah, cheers to Leon Ruff. Cheers to you.
Yeah, my timeline's all, hold on. My timeline's all messed up. So,
did you guys both watch all of NXT? Klump, you didn't see all of it. Did you see some of it, or just like clips online?
Clips online.
Clips online. Amanda, did you watch all of NXT? Was it
Saw
just me, or was this an underwhelming NXT?
It was, because the last few NXTs have been incredible.
Yeah.
Was it better than Dynamite? Not by much.
Okay.
But yeah, but I just thought it was lacking a lot of things, and it just felt really. I know it's like, it's the NXT after, Stand and Deliver, but it still was kind of weird, and it was, yeah. It just
should have had a lot more stuff going on. It was really weird, really dry. There was a lot that was trying to be funny that was not. It felt super forced. Yeah. We'll run through it, but I was really disappointed with this NXT. So much so that when I saw they got 800,000, I went, fuck.
Yeah.
Because I thought 800,000 people just watched that. I wish it was a different episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this one to me was by the time it was the end, we're like halfway through the main event, and I mentioned to the producer, I was like, this is the main event right now. It's almost over. And she's like, what? This is the main event? And I was like, yeah, I don't know why they've decided this. This is like all in the wrong order. Like they had good moments here and there, but it was just sporadic, just surrounded by jokes and goofy shit. And I don't know, man. It started out with a promo by Karrion Kross, which was an okay promo, but came off pretty typical. I'm the champ now. I told you I'd win. I won. I'll face anybody. Okay.
But it was also weird because I thought it was like really, there was some like really like some kind of like weird sexual energy, and it was kind of creepy in a way. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe because I'm a woman, I saw that. It was just, I don't know. It was just kind of.
Well, between him and Scarlett?
Well, in general, the way he was.
Well, maybe he's got a championship title and his girl is there. Like if they're not married, they're engaged. Like,
yeah, I know they are engaged. Yeah, I think.
I'll tell you right now. Once I got this title, things changed around this house. You know what I mean?
Yeah, gold changes people, I guess.
I'm kidding. I'm just saying he's the world champion now. So yeah, there's going to be tension in the ring. That's going to happen.
But it was a little weird, but predictable.
Just gonna see like a handful of spaghetti come flying across the. Just hit me right in the face. Going to bed.
Yeah. For something that they were also hyping that we're going to Tuesday. It didn't feel like it was
right.
Yeah, it didn't feel anything exciting.
Yeah, it was a big letdown for being the NXT after Mania, the NXT after Stand and Deliver, the debut of Tuesday NXT. I was like, okay. Well, I mean, it was cool that it started out with Karrion Kross. I was like, that's good. It's a good open because, it's a good entrance. It looks cool, all that stuff. Then he says a bunch of really 101 stuff, and I was like, okay. I guess there's that. And I was like, but he'll be back later for sure. Did not come back later.
One, it also, like, to me, what was funny is the big feel-good moment of the show. The, three women's champions of WWE meeting up together. And it was a cool moment, but it felt like it drug on long, and it felt kind of oddly inconsequential in that it just kind of directed you to other places. Like, look at what we've done.
Yeah, it was weirdly long for what it was in the middle of the show. I mean, it wasn't even like on the hour, I don't think. I think it was like a couple minutes. Like, it was weirdly placed. Yeah. I agree with you. It was too long, and it was just a huge pat on your own back, and it was just like, okay. Like, it's cool. It was a feel-good moment, like you said, but there's also part of it that's like, is this a wrestling show? Or it was just weird. So we had the Karrion Kross thing. Then it goes from there to a really cool video package they had of TakeOver that was dubbed over with poppy music, which I thought was really cool. It goes into an MSK match. That match was pretty solid, but it was a match with Killian Dane and Drake, and Drake is pretty fucking beloved. The crowd was booing MSK the whole time.
Yeah.
And I was getting real fucking mad.
Well, you know what it was? There's, I guess, some guys, this was on Twitter that I saw. I was like, well, who boos MSK? Okay, first of all. And these guys are like, they're regulars at, whatever. And like, we booed because we just wanted to get over. I hate that shit. Like, fans, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's about the people that are in the ring.
Yeah.
People talking about what's going on in the ring with the headsets. The guy behind the camera. The guy with the striped shirt or girl with the striped shirt.
So they were booing so they could be talked about as booing?
Yeah, just so they could be talked about. Yeah. Isn't
So
that
stupid.
disgusting? That is disgusting to me.
It's awful. Especially for guys like MSK.
Yeah,
You know what
but
I mean?
I'm sure they're like, whatever. These guys are jackasses, because these were the guys. If you go back and look at it, they were behind. They were facing the hard cam, so they're like, boo, and they were all dudes, and it was this whole little section of like maybe 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah, it was fucking
Yeah.
stupid, man.
And
I was
that's
really
dumb.
pissed.
I'm like, you guys, like, if you really don't want them there, I'm sure there's people who would probably pay a lot of money for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of how good they are. But I was bothered by that. That bothered me. I'm like,
Yeah.
why are
me
you
off.
booing them? And then when I saw that, I was pissed. I said, fuck you people. You're
Yeah.
stupid. I don't understand that.
Like, I
And
get that Drake is beloved too, but when I'm watching MSK get booed after their story, after their rise, after everything that they've done, it makes me start to hate Drake. You know what I mean? And I know it's not Drake, and I don't hate Drake. I love that dude. But when I start seeing MSK get booed, and I'm thinking it might be because of Drake, I'm like, well, fuck that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was really weird, but it was a good match. But the crowd was really taking away from it, which is super unfortunate.
Would you think this is a spot where, like, I know it's live, but so is WrestleMania. You could try and correct the crowd a little bit here, because it was so weird. Like, why are we correcting it in other spots but not here? Because it did truly take away from the match. It made it feel weird.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
And then at the end of it, so MSK wins, which they should, and then Imperium comes out and beats the shit out of. Were they beating up Killian or were they beating up Drake?
Killian.
I wrote Killian, but it started making me wonder. It was Killian, right?
Yeah, it was Killian. Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they're trying to do there. I mean, do we get Killian and Drake against Imperium for what?
I was confused by that. I was confused. I will say that. That was weird.
Well, go ahead, Klump.
I was gonna say, like, also, like, I feel like if you're switching nights like this, it was weird, and I've been watching it. I felt like I need a refresher on this.
Yeah. For a night one episode, this was really poorly put together because it relied on people just knowing a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even when it comes to the women, and we'll get to the women in just a second. But so Imperium does that. I mean, so we'll keep it moving a little bit. After the show, or after that beatdown, there was an after the show segment with Adam Cole, who kept yelling at Kyle while they're being carted out on fucking gurneys. So it made it look like Kyle O'Reilly won but died, and Cole died but isn't in pain.
They looked like they were part of a car accident that they looked like traumatized monsters and made no sense, like
it was really weird.
If you're coming into your first episode of NXT, we're going to get you coming back because questions, lots of questions.
A whole lot of what the fuck was that is what I got.
That was obnoxious, I thought.
Yeah.
I mean,
if it was a silent segment, that'd have been okay. But the idea that Adam Cole just keeps yelling, I was like, so wait, he's fine then? He's just going into the hospital as like a cautionary thing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was so weird. And the fact that Kyle is just out, it's like, okay, so Kyle died doing this.
Kyle's like sitting upright, looking like a zombie. Okay, because not saying anything. And you hear this guy wiggling around. You're yelling, like, fuck you, I'm gonna kill you. It was weird. And I'm like,
weird.
And they called it like special exclusive footage. I'm like, no.
You can have that exclusive. That's okay.
Yeah, you should have held on to that one.
Yeah.
It undermined the whole match, which I already had a problem with to begin with. But then this whole thing was all like, oh, and none of it fucking matters? Great.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Adam Cole, for underlining how much you don't give a shit about any of this. Like, what the fuck?
Exactly.
Adam Cole's more important than every fucking thing else, and that's so absurd to me.
It made me think of, like, Shawn Michaels. Like, if you ever wanted to see what happened to Shawn Michaels in a selling job after the match, we don't need to.
Right? Yeah. I don't need to see him throwing a fucking hissy fit. What the fuck was that? Like, so weird. And then it goes from there to a Robert Stone segment backstage, which was awful comedy and weird. Aaliyah's screaming and choking in a fucking nuts way because Mercedes is trying to get paid. You had Jessica Maya come out and threaten Mercedes like she's ever done anything or been anyone. It's like, what the fuck is happening? And why are you trying to button up a whole bunch of stories you started 7 months ago that you haven't talked about in 4 months? You know what I mean? A lot of this shit was picking up where you left off a long time ago. And for a debut episode on a Tuesday, you didn't do anything to fill in those gaps. Nothing. This was really weird for me to watch. And from a production standpoint to say, I was hoping you would, like, this is too much me just having to know. And even though I watch, I shouldn't have to know all this stuff all the time. What if you had a new viewer on Tuesday? Fuck them, right? It was so weird. Yeah. And it went immediately from there to Mercedes Martinez against Jessica Maya. Mercedes beats the shit out of her, calls out Raquel Gonzalez, then beats the shit out of Robert Stone and gets her money. And the whole time Aaliyah is just screaming and crying. And I was like, what is this?
Didn't it happen?
I wasn't hating on NXT this weekend as I'm like, from what I saw, and as I'm like listening to you guys, I'm like, why am I in trouble for not watching?
Right? No, this was the one to skip.
Is it just because I was supposed to do it? Like,
yeah,
I did.
Just get, that's all. 100%.
Yeah,
I didn't take my punishment, so fuck you.
Yeah, you took it.
Maybe.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I mean, when I watched it, as I'm watching, I was like, it's not terrible, but it's not good. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay for us because we're aware of what's been going on. But I do watch things with that new viewer perspective and that new night perspective. And I thought, for a new viewer, I can't defend this. If one of my friends from work was like, hey, I watched NXT this week, I couldn't tell what the fuck was going on. I was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I can't defend any of it.
You know, I'll take it to this. Like, when I started watching NXT, when you asked me about coming on here for episode 1, I was, it was very well laid out. Yeah. So as a newer person to that product, I knew what was going on. I now fast forward to yesterday. If that was me, I'd be what the fuck is this shit? Marsh, what do you mean you watch this shit for? Because it's confusing. It was.
I'm not doing this anymore.
I'm not doing this anymore.
She's like, I'll be your AEW correspondent strictly.
Yeah. And I just thought that, I was like, man, I would be confused because I was like, who the hell is this guy with Michael Jackson gloves? Okay. Because, and then, obviously he must be important because, Wade commented about them and Beth commented about them, and I'm like, all right, whatever. But yeah, it just was kind of weird to me. And I'm like, is that how you call out people? You didn't even put the camera on Mercedes. You had her side profile and she's calling someone out. I'm like, what? Wait a minute. That didn't make sense either.
It took over an hour before the show picked up at all. And maybe that's why you thought this wasn't half bad, Klump, is maybe you were watching mostly highlights from that last hour. Because if we keep going, at this point, they did a promo in the back with The Way, and it was just awful garbage comedy, which is exactly what Gargano does all the time. Somehow, Indian Candice still laid in a couple of good moments, but it's mixed up with a whole bunch of Johnny and Austin thinking they're hysterical, and they're just fucking not. It's just bad. It's like going to an open mic night or going to... I like to think of it as this. I've been to the Upright Citizens Brigade. I've been to their improv class graduation, where at the end of their graduation, after these people have been through about 4 weeks of improv class, which is typically like twice a week, so not a lot, they'll do a show of a bunch of skits that you can go in and it's like $2 a ticket or some shit. You just go in there, you have some pizza, you have some beer, you watch it. I've been to those because I had a friend who was graduating, and I was like, yeah, I'll come by. Gargano and Austin Theory come off like people who are in that class, where it's all like, oh, you've been practicing 5 times. You know what I mean? So it's not like, oh, you're okay. Oh, you definitely get into character, but you're absolutely fucking garbage. You don't understand what's going on. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's bad comedy.
I'll be honest. When I saw The Way, I turned off the volume.
Good.
That's the way.
That's the
way right there. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't want to hear Johnny. Honestly, it's like, I'm like,
dude, the
no.
fact he's trying to get cuckoo bananas on a goddamn t-shirt, fucking.
Yeah.
The problem is that Jericho says shit like that and ends up on a t-shirt. Don't make WWE put your dumb shit on a t-shirt.
Yeah. No. Even Jericho, there's some shit he says. It's like, don't put it on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Don't.
Yeah. Don't. It's just like, don't. Hey, wait a minute. Where did the Thatcher and Ciampa promo go? Where was that?
That's 2 segments away.
Oh, okay.
But we're almost there.
I couldn't remember where that.
Because right after this puts us at like the 50-minute mark. All of this, and I'm like, what is happening? And I was like, NXT's deteriorating in front of my eyes. But then it goes to a Swerve video promo, which I thought was very well done. This was good. Swerve being a cocky little asshole. I've heard some people complain they don't think Swerve has a character. And I think they're mistaking not being a gimmick with not having a character. He's got a very defined character to me. He's a cocky asshole. He's smooth. He does. I don't know why he's a music producer, but he is. He's constantly making music. He's very creative. He's got his outlets. He thinks real highly of himself. He knows he's a star. He's that cocky attitude, but he's also got this sort of like street level authenticity to himself. You know what I mean? Where he's all like, oh yeah, no, I'm from, like, he's the type to say like, I'm from 8 Mile. You know what I mean? Like, he's the type to rep where he's from, although he doesn't really. But like, that's the kind of person who does that kind of thing, where he's just like very, very true to himself, very, very true to where he comes from, very, very cocky that he's moving forward. Every small step for him is 100 steps for anybody else, because he sees the small successes as big successes, which is cool. But it does mean that you get an ego real fast, right?
Yeah.
That's void of being a gimmick. He's not a gimmick. He's not a dentist. He's not a demon. He's not a dinosaur. He's not a dad. He's not a Boy Scout. He's just a guy. He's a creative guy who's a wrestler and thinks he's the absolute best. And he does it with his own tone. And I think it's fantastic. And I thought this video package was a really good way of showing that. Go ahead, Amanda.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, like, obviously, well, and this is going to be me being snobby. I know Bishop would say it, me being snobby, my indie snobbery. That, people I don't think really watched Swerve on the indies, because he's the same thing that he was then and now. The only thing that changed was the name. We still use the Swerve in there, but. And, but obviously when he was on Lucha Underground, that was different. That was a character. Killshot was a character. So when people see that and they're just like, they don't get it, I'm like, well, you really don't get it, because you need to look back, because you've hit it on the head. Like, he's really proud from where he's from. He's from the Pacific Northwest. He's from Tacoma. And he's the one who basically built up Defy Wrestling in Seattle. That's Swerve's house. If you're like, whose house? That is Swerve's house, regardless of whoever's going to walk in and out of that door. He helped build that promotion. He made it what it was. And that's why they signed him, because it was like some guy that's very relatable, that's cool. He knows he's great. You don't have to tell him, because, whatever. But if you tell him, he'll love it even more, because, it's the ego. But yeah, it's not a character. And I think that people want everybody to be a character, but not everybody has to be a character.
Yes.
That's the thing. And we forget that.
100%. They're definitely not a gimmick.
No.
But he's definitely a character. So I don't get it. I don't know what he's. Yeah. 100%. The fact that he's always in his lab, he's always in there creating, he's always making his music, that's a whole aspect as well. So
yeah,
this was good. I don't know if. Go ahead.
He had partnered with somebody. I can't remember who, not the name's escaping off the top of my head. And this was actually even before he was in WWE. And they were, you know, making, it was the guy who did some people's ring entrances and things like that. I know Shane Taylor at ROH, he made the his theme. I think Swerve had something to do with it too. But yeah, he's always had that passion because he, you know, he loves music. And they started a podcast, you know, when he was still in Defy, and that's the Swerve City podcast, and it really incorporated, you know, his two loves with music and wrestling. So it worked for him.
I think it's awesome. Klump, I don't know if you saw this a little bit.
I did not.
Okay.
You should go.
After that, because like I said, this is where it starts to pick up a little bit. After that, we had Escobar come out and cut a promo, which was pretty solid. Still a little rudimentary in its whole, like, hey, I'm champ, I should be the champ, and I made this title mean something, and the whole division was floundering without me, and it actually made some sense, but it was pretty solid. He does have an open challenge. Kushida comes out. They have an awesome match back and forth. And Kushida gets the win. He's the new Cruiserweight champion, and it's fucking phenomenal. We were even saying on Stand and Deliver Watch Along, what do you do with Kushida after this? He's losing a lot of big ones. There's going to be a lot of steam for him to recover from after losing, what was the last? To Pete Dunne. This is a really great way to here's how you do it. Here's you put a belt on the guy, and you say, you know what? He's not no one. He's had a couple bad losses, but he's still someone, you know?
And I loved that they emphasized that, this is a someone. This is the guy who had the IWGP, you know, junior heavyweight champion 6 times. And they really kind of put his accolades out there to kind of remind you of, this wasn't the guy that, you know, jobbed to, if you thought he did, jobbed to Pete Dunne. No, this guy is legit. And so I think that was a cool thing that they were bringing that, you know, into play, that, you know, he's legitimate. And now they gave him something to work on, which is great. I think that, you know, that blew me away that, you know, Escobar lost it. I was like, what? Wait a minute, whoa. But then I thought back to, you know, Stand and Deliver and our watch on, and I'm like, you know what? Now Kushida has something. It's kind of like, and I go back and I think, you know, that's what should have happened on AEW, and I go back there with Eddie Kingston. You know, he's got nothing now. Everyone just thinks he's kind of a wuss, you know. But if they had given him something after, it would have been better. And I think they did a great job with what they did with Kushida. And I think that's really awesome to see that.
I thought it was awesome. Klump, did you get a chance to see that Kushida won that?
I did not.
Did you see that he even won, or is that news to you right now?
It's kind of news to me right now, but I like it.
Which is awesome.
I like it. Yeah.
No, I think that's great. That's what I'm saying is that watching this, you're gonna love going back and checking that one out at some point. If it's not today, not tomorrow, in a week, 2 weeks, whatever. At some point, you'll go back and find out when Kushida won the Cruiserweight title, and you're going to be very, very happy with it. So.
Yeah. And I think Escobar, I mean, more and more when I see him now, I'm like, God, that guy's really, really good. So, you know, you know, I'm just like, wow, you know, that guy's great.
I think
I think big things for him.
They keep putting good people in this division. They're investing time in them, building stories outside of the division that have some weight. This could be good. Like, if you can, you know, establish people like Kushida and Santos Escobar infused with these bigger talents, and then going back toward this belt, I think it's a good thing. I mean, Kushida's a fantastic performer. So is Santos Escobar.
As part of what made this night so weird is that they definitely made the Cruiserweight Championship look awesome. They made the women's division look dope. And the heavyweight division was just kind of like not there at all.
Meh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was really weird in that sense, in that regard specifically. But yeah, they're definitely building that Cruiserweight division up pretty strong. Kushida being the champ is so dope. I think what that means too is we're going to get a number of Kushida defenses, which are just going to be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
We might even see him get his. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say you might end up seeing some 205 live people.
You could see that. I think we might also see a number of rematches that Kushida lost that were big losses where he's going to retain. So that could
obviously it looks like they're doing Dunn again. him and done. So that'll be
I think
great.
so.
Because I
Well,
enjoyed
they had that
match.
promo. We could talk about that
Yeah.
promo too. It was like a segment or two away from there, but it shows Kushida in the back with the title, and Devlin showed up and said, "Hey, you think you're big shit?" And he's like, "I never lost the title." He goes, "Anyone can run up a ladder." He's like, "Nobody pinned me," even though he was like out cold, but still, he's like, "Nobody
Yeah.
pinned me." He goes, "I'm still the best. I still deserve to have that title. Just happened to play out the way that it did." And he goes, "Travel." He's like, "Travel plans are in your favor. I got to go back for a few months." And he goes, "When I come back, I'm coming back for that." And I was like, "Oh shit! They just promised us Devlin versus Kushida. That is
I hope he
sick."
comes back with trunks that fit.
Yes.
It
This goddamn
That's
booty
my
shorts.
wish. If not, I'll try to make them.
Let's see,
wasn't
looking forward. Go ahead.
it wasn't even so much the trunks. It was that he kept landing and splaying himself out. Like, okay, we get
On
it.
top of it.
You're happy.
Yep. No, but there's times his cheek was coming out like a lot.
Oh yeah.
And I gotta make him bigger.
All that
Let's see.
ass.
After that, we had
Yes.
Ciampa and Thatcher cut a promo, which I thought was just absolutely incredible. Ciampa is just sitting there yelling about what he's yelling about. Ends up
Yeah.
saying that they're going to take the tag titles. MSK, we're coming for you. Stands up, storms off, knocks over his chair, and the whole time Thatcher's just sitting there just smiling like, this is my crazy
was-
psycho friend. Fucking love
That-
it.
Okay. I don't know about you. Okay, this is promo. I love this promo. I don't know about you, but me, when you see Thatcher at the end and that smile on his face, it's like, holy fuck, you are fucking, it's like, that's like death. Okay, that's it, straight up like a murder grandpa kind of when Suzuki has that smile on his face, oh shit, you're fucked. That's what Tim Thatcher looked like, and I'm like, that scares me when you see that like puts fear in me. And I think it's great. I'm loving the fact that they're going to go up against MSK. I think that's going to be a phenomenal match.
Yeah, I can't call that one.
Yeah, I don't even know who to say. There's no, again, like I always like to say, there's no winners, there's no losers here, because we're all winners here. And I think that when they do it, and I hope it's for a bigger event and not just on TV.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They should definitely save that. Did you get a chance to see this promo, Klump?
No.
I'm gonna send you a still shot later of just Thatcher smiling, and it's gonna send chills down your spine. He's a psychopath.
Yeah.
The fact that he was just like psychotically smiling as Ciampa walks away, you're just all like, he's smiling in this way that's like, that's my psycho friend who murders things, and I love it. And you're like, what?
And
It's
I'll
so
murder
good.
you too. It works.
Yeah. I love it because I'll pick the bones. What? Like, it was nuts. It's just crazy.
Oh no.
That
Let's see.
right there that's storytelling right there.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, that face, that image. It's
Yeah.
like, Jesus, you can't teach anybody that.
Let's see. I think this was the spot that had it. If not, we're just going to talk about it anyways. Zoe Stark was back there cutting a promo, and Mercedes comes up and gets in her face, and basically Zoe and Mercedes are now going to have a match, which I think is pretty cool to have the two of them face off. Mercedes seems to be on a tear on her way to Raquel Gonzalez. I don't really want Zoe taking that loss, but it might be just fine, I guess. Zoe's got plenty of time. She just got there, but it was pretty solid. Pretty solid for the most part. Outside of that, we ended up with the feel-good moment that you were talking about, Klump. So all three women come out. Dakota comes out. She introduces her friend Raquel Gonzalez. Raquel comes out, says, happy to be here, waves and smiles at the fans, blows kisses. Then we get the debut, long awaited for almost a whole week. Frankie Monet
Yeah.
comes out with her puppy, Pomeranian. And it was another one of those instances where it's like, it's not bad. It wasn't great. Like,
Yeah.
it was kind of a lackluster intro to Frankie. She cut an okay promo. It wasn't bad. It was not a bad promo. I didn't see this and go, oh, she sounds nervous or awful. You just go, okay. And everything she said was very 101. I'm here now. Division's better now. You guys are so good. I'm better. I got a kick out of her using the line that, well, for one, she called herself La
La Huera Loca, right?
Yeah, that's her thing. Yeah, she
I
was
got a
given
kick
that
out of
name.
that. I got a kick out of her saying the division just got a little more bougie. But I also
love
think, right? It was a cool line. But at the same time, this is a division that also still has Aaliyah, who comes out in Gucci. You know what I mean? You got Carmella just barely removed, where it's like she's pretty bougie. Like it's just
Yeah.
it was a little weird, but I did like it. I liked the line. It got a little bougie, but it was more or less like, I'm here now. You're on top. You'll be hearing from me. I'm gonna go ahead and leave now, and she leaves.
Yeah.
I was like, what was that? So good, not great. Okay, not awful. And then it goes into Rhea Ripley coming out. The producer thinks that there's a very real possibility that because of the amount of bullshit that she sees online, that Rhea Ripley has begun to overcompensate with her tops. Because it was a little boobish. She comes out. They cheers their titles. Bianca comes out. No one's saying anything. They're just standing there for 10 minutes holding up their title and crying. And this is it. This is NXT. We're NXT, but they're champions on other shows too. Long segment. Klump, did you see Frankie's promo? And if not, what'd you think of the rest?
I didn't see it. I was kind of surprised when I saw the clips for like the meetup, which I liked overall. I had no indication that there was, the Frankie Monet debut. I want to throw out real quick. I agree with you. I think, yeah, it's the idea. The lines are good from what I'm hearing, but we got a lot of what sound like wealthy, or we have a lot of this character. And how does one stand out? It kind of feels shallow, like, which the character's supposed to be shallow, but it doesn't. It doesn't differentiate itself in a way that you really want to care.
Yes.
Um, and then going into this, I liked the segment, but it was long, weirdly placed from what I'm, kind of looking at it in the match card. And then just, I don't know, like it again, it kind of makes it feel like we're focusing on the past when we have so many people present in the future. And, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it's all good. I think it's cool. And yeah, Rhea and Bianca are on the top. They just barely left NXT. I get that moment, but yeah, it was a little drawn out for what it was. And I kept kind of waiting for, like, was there like a thing that's going to happen? I show like a video package. But again, it came down to, if you didn't know, if you haven't been watching, you go, oh, the Raw Women's title holder and the SmackDown Women's Champion showed up? That's cool. It doesn't feel as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I was hoping they'd at least throw together a video package. Amanda, what'd you think of all this?
Well, I'll go into I'll start with this because I have a little bit more about the Frankie Monet thing that kind of it was good, but it bothered. There's some things that bother me. As someone who was brand new to see this, you'd be like, why would I care? And then they showed the picture of them in NXT, and they're all three of them together and whatever. But I'm like, yeah, so, and it didn't have to be as long as it was, to be quite honest. I think maybe, they could have had some match with filler. You could have given me another goddamn Cameron Grimes promo. I don't know. Just saying, or anything. Not Gargano speaking again, but anything. And, so the casual viewer is probably like, oh, cool. All right, I don't know why they did that, but okay. All right.
Yeah.
Because if they spoke, maybe it would have been better if everyone said something, but they didn't.
Yeah.
So, boo on that. So, Frankie Monet, my impression of her promo, I'll tell you, I was really disappointed.
Okay.
Really disappointed. I liked the fact that she was, really trying to put the Vera Loca in there and, and kind of, mixing a little bit of Spanglish with, with Raquel. I thought that was cool. But the thing that it bothered me is it's like I don't think she's found what Frankie Monet means to her, because it's like, are you going to take everything that was Taya Valkyrie and put it in there? or is this going to be something brand new? And it can come that for me, it came across during her promo. So obviously right now it's like, I don't think she knows what to do with this character yet. Yeah. But I will be, like, I'll probably be wrong. And, when we actually see her make her debut or she does other promos and stuff, maybe I'm wrong, but that's the impression that I get. Love her to death, but I don't think she knows yet. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, that happens, but, it's kind of sad because, knowing, who she was and everything she, has done, it's like, oh, okay, so we're changing this to something else. And I don't know. I just kind of, feel it fell very flat.
I'm trying to
the
think
bougie
who
thing
it
I
was.
did like. I did like the bougie thing. And it's also in her theme. And I liked her theme. Actually, it was really nice. So.
It may have been Corey. Yeah, I like the theme. The theme didn't bother me,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I like the bougie line. I liked the Spanglish. I don't mind the dog. I thought I was really going to hate the dog being out there, but I thought the dog was all right.
Dog just, whatever.
But I do think it was Corey who said something along the lines of no matter how long you've been doing it, maybe it was Kushida who's talking about as well, but that no matter how long you've been doing it, that once you get to WWE, everything's so different that there's still a time frame of trying to figure it all out. And there becomes an aha moment. For the ones who make it, there's this aha moment of, oh, this is how I translate here. Where at first you feel like the wrong peg. And I think that he talked about that in regards to talking to Kushida, where Kushida finally figured out that moment of, oh, this is how I translate to this show. Versus just thinking you can take everything you've done in every other company, plop it here, and it will work, and it's going to work just fine, and everything's going to be normal. It's just not that way. So I think that with her, we're definitely seeing that. She immediately comes out, cuts this promo that's kind of like, okay, but I do think that there will be that moment. I think she's that caliber where it won't be too long before she's like, oh, and this is who I am and how I fit here. And we're all going to be like, oh, yeah, you do. You got that right. You do.
Because look at Cameron Grimes. Okay.
Yes.
It took him a while, because he's been there for a while, to figure out how he kind of fits in it. And it's amazing. Like, I'm talking to a couple friends of mine, and they were like, damn, like that he's found something that it clicks in that world. Yeah. And it's I think it's phenomenal when you do that. There's some people like a Swerve where, you know what they were doing before, it can translate because that's the kind of person they are and their personality, and it can translate. And then there's other people who I'm just like, I don't know what the heck, is up with this. Like Ricochet, he doesn't know. I don't think he really has figured that out. Yeah. Of how can he be here and not look like, okay, I'm the flippy floppy jobber guy, So I think that it's really interesting to see that. And I think that when they get it, but it's very rare when people can come in and they get it right away. Like Zoe Stark, look at her. She's like gotten it right away.
Yeah. Or like AJ Styles. He hit the main roster and just got it.
Mm-hmm. And just got it, and you knew, whereas like Shinsuke took a little bit of time. Asuka, those kinds of people, it takes a little bit of time. Now, there's going to be people obviously that aren't going to move, but the ones that do, they found what that is. Yeah. And you either do or you don't, and if you don't, you're gonna get cut.
Yeah.
So,
and I think part of us all thought that Taya was going to come in with whatever she had and it was just going to click. It was just going to be it right away. And I think that what we're seeing already is it's not going to be quite that. She's going to be in the conversation already, but it's going to take a little bit of molding. And I think that's what we're seeing there. But there's only 2 matches left in here. There was Leon Ruff and Isaiah Swerve Scott, which I thought was a really good match, but I'm really kind of tired of that story. I'm ready to see those guys with somebody else. What do you think, Klump?
I agree with that. They do a fantastic match, but it's a match we've seen a lot. Mm-hmm. So we could do something else. Like I'm not saying I'm done with it. I'm not saying anything bad, but just we could move these two into something else. And wasn't that kind of the aim of that big Iron Man match event was like, we're gonna put everyone in new feuds. Like, shouldn't that have been the goal? Was defining new spaces for everyone, because it was a bunch of people in defined feuds.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was going to be good to move along. I agree with you. It doesn't have to be done forever. I'm ready to put a pause on that. Let's move on to something else. Leon Ruff should be doing something else with somebody else. Swerve should be on to somebody else. Swerve should be.
I would love. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'd love to see Swerve and Cameron Grimes after that. The last three with Bronson. That I think would be an amazing program, because that was that was like some of the best wrestling I've seen in a while.
The fact that this show didn't have Cameron Grimes, didn't have LA Knight, didn't have Finn Balor.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's no LA Knight, so it was lacking. Like, where's the
I did have Bronson Reed at the end.
Yeah.
Never mind. But it was missing a lot of star power in my mind, especially with like a new night. You'd think you'd want to go out there with guys like, and I know I've heard a few people, and you tell me what you think about this one, Klump, because obviously LA Knight wasn't here and you've seen a lot of the other stuff he's done. I've heard people complain that LA Knight, his character is a pro wrestler, and they're complaining about that. I think that makes him stand out, because it's very rare at this point that we see a character where their character is that they are a professional wrestler for business, to make money, to win, to be a champion, to make more money. And the fact that he is those things and talks that way, to me, sets him apart.
I agree. I think in a world where we get so focused on like these vague stories, we have a lot of performers that are effectively professional wrestlers or athletes, but we don't have somebody who's this kind of journeyman. We have like the peak athlete, or they almost just kind of thinly veil, like this is their grouping together, but we don't know why. So I'm a badass, I make money by doing this is kind of cool and fresh. And I agree, is with this new night, God, they were missing star power, and like getting people that can talk. If this is a new night, bring your best on. We can nothing against Swerve and Ruff. We can hear about them next week. Especially in this match that we've repeated over and over. Why not just let's do LA Knight and he needs something better than that, but like you all get what I mean. Just like let's do more different people talk.
Or
if it's me, I'd have Finn Balor out there cutting a promo, LA Knight going out there and getting in Finn Balor's face saying, you don't get to talk about Karrion Kross anymore, you've lost your chance, I'm moving on to that, and have Finn Balor tell him, hey, you lost your North American title opportunity, what makes you think you're getting a world title opportunity? Maybe you have a back and forth between the two of them for a minute or two and get people really talking about that, but then have somebody like a Cameron Grimes come out and actually have a match with LA Knight. I mean, but tease those two talkers as being something. You know what I mean? Like you said, draw people in. This was a whole lot of weird inside jokes. And the main event was no different. We end up with, and we'll get right back to whatever you're saying, but we get into the main event, which is Dexter Lumis, Bronson Reed, Shotzi Blackheart, Ember Moon against The Way in a comedy match with a bunch of goofy spots, which some was okay, some was just obnoxious. Austin Theory was as cartoonish as he could possibly be. So was Gargano. Like, this whole thing was a joke main event. And as much as I like Bronson Reed and Shotzi and Ember and thought they did a great job all working together and having fun, it did look like a bunch of people just out there having fun. It didn't look like a match. It didn't look like a fight. It didn't look like there was any stakes. There was no reason to have this. The whole match was built so Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis would walk away. That was it. It was the whole match. It was a really weird way to end that show. But Klump, you were saying something. You can finish your thought and go on to the main event. I think it was both.
Yeah, it was just that is all of this was not a bad show by any means, but a weird one. Like, it just didn't fit. Like, if you said, given the amount that WWE put into SmackDown on Fox, or the season premiere of Raw, which I don't think anyone knew it was going to be the season fucking premiere of Raw until they bought tickets that said it. You could do a little bit more here. That's really it. That's just my thought of it all.
Yeah. I don't know why you didn't end with the women. If you're going to celebrate the triumphs of NXT, do it at the end. This could have been somewhere in the middle, this main event. Because the whole thing was about a bunch of mid-card cast. You know what I mean? Like, who in the way and Dexter, Bronson, and Shotzi and Ember, sorry, who there is a main event. And I apologize. None of that was main event. No championships. I mean, you have the NXT title and the women's tag titles. Those are mid-card titles, honestly. Gargano's been having okay matches with them. But realistically, this main event felt like it should have been in the middle of the card, and your big moments, like your debut, like your women from the other shows showing up, were just smacked somewhere in like the hour and a quarter, and it's like it just felt weird, laid out so weird and so haphazardly. Where it's like, well, I guess we're gonna do this now, and like I said, I don't think anyone did particularly bad in this match. It just wasn't about anything, didn't mean anything, had no purpose. I don't know how Bronson got involved all of a sudden.
I didn't understand either. But
I don't know how Dexter was involved, other than the fact that Bronson and Dexter.
You know why he's involved.
He's involved because Indy likes him, and that's not a reason to be in a match. But that's not a reason to be in a match.
I know, but you know, and whoever started this twisted storyline, they think that. But I don't know. Yeah.
But I'm saying that's a problem. And if you're watching this for the first time, if you're like, hey, there's Tuesday Night Wrestling, let me see what it is, none of this made any fucking sense.
Yeah, and especially
all this was weird.
Especially that part when Indy finally, like at first when she, you know, tries to like play, you know, like she's injured, and then it gets interrupted, and then when she goes to the edge of the mat, and she does that, and Dexter comes over and carries her, and then she's like, huh? With the wink and everything. I'm like, well, that was dumb. I'm like, God, you just like made women feel like, God, you just put us back 100 years, lady.
It was a whole Sandlot skit.
Yeah.
I do think out of that match, Bronson, Shotzi, Ember, and Candice looked solid. I liked the Candice and Bronson stuff. I like where Candice keeps thinking she's going to slam Bronson around, and Bronson just keeps not having it. I like there's that one part where Vic Joseph on camera just goes, Candice, don't do this.
Yeah. I laughed at that.
Yeah. He's like, don't do this, Candice. And then she tries it and fails, and he's like, I like that stuff.
That was
great. But it could have been in the middle
great.
of the show, and I would have liked it just the same.
Yeah. Because I think,
What do you think?
this, if this was your closer and I was new, I don't know if I'd watch this again. Because it's
I wouldn't
weird.
go out of my way to.
Yeah.
I might watch it again if I remember, but I'm not going to set an alarm.
I think what they should have done at some point is they should have had LA Knight come out, because obviously, you know, it's Stand and Deliver. He had the it was just running his mouth, you know, like before he got into the ring. Yeah. And, you know, and I would love to see him eat crow. You know, that would have been great.
Oh, yeah.
Like, well, you know, him justifying it. Hell yeah. I mean, that's what we want to see. But I felt like we were robbed of that. I mean, if we get it next week, great. If we never get it, boo on you, whoever's writing this crap. Yeah. But I think that's really, you know, I mean, I would have loved to see that. We didn't need to see a lot of this other stuff. And if Indy wants to get with, you know, Dexter Loomis, there's a lot of other ways they could do it. They are the way. So they'll find a way.
That's fucked up. Wicked fucked up. Klump, you have something else you want to say on this?
No, I'm good. Let's keep going.
All right. Well, I'm ready to wrap it up. If you guys are ready for last call, I think I'm ready for last call. This was a weirdly underwhelming NXT, but a huge pop in numbers, and I really hope they keep it going after this. And AEW, like you said, if one was better than the other, it was neck and neck. So I really hope that AEW is able to grab an audience and hold on to them, because I do think that days like today remind you of what, at the heart of it, makes competition the best, is the places for people to go. The performers to be able to have the opportunities to shine and to work and do their thing. Like Bishop on Terrible Wrestling Takes podcast says, one of our partners, one of our buddies, time on TV is the most important thing you can give to a wrestler. Places like AEW being successful, love them or hate them, is important to give people time on TV, especially when they're taken off of TV by another company. So
or never
good luck to What? Yeah.
Never been on, yeah, they've never
Yeah.
been on TV.
Some of them.
I mean,
Yeah. So give them that training. The people who are leaving, give them that opportunity. Good luck to everybody who got laid off. I think they're all going to land on their feet. Hopefully none of them were ridiculously irresponsible with their money and are just, looking for meet and greets from here on out. But I think all of them are incredibly talented. There's a lot of potential. I honestly want to see the Iconics in Hollywood. I think them just going straight into movies and TV shows would be fucking killer. They're amazing. Great charisma. Great facial expressions, the way they act. I want to see Mojo doing some crazy cool stuff with XFL just 'cause I think it'd be fucking dope. But I want to see Samoa Joe just run this wrestling business up into a whole new stratosphere, like only I think Samoa Joe can do. Guys, I think that we are in for quite a treat with NXT and AEW being on opposite nights, and I think that it's going to allow Klump the opportunity for once in a while to catch the entire show.
Possibly.
Possibly.
No
We'll see how it
guarantees.
goes.
I like that.
Well,
Possibly no guarantees.
Possibly. I mean, we're not going to push him. We don't want to stress him out. So, any other thing you guys want to throw in there?
Yeah, don't forget Mickey, because Mickey can really make a difference with wherever she ends up with the women, because everyone's
100%.
always complaining about like women's wrestling. It's not that great, or this one doesn't have a great promotion, or this one's the best and whatever. Well, obviously, the best one, she didn't really do too much and have any kind of stamp of hers on it. I'm talking
Yes.
WWE and NXT.
I want Mickie James to hold the NWA Women's title by the end of this year.
Yeah, that'd be a great little one with her and But anyways,
I want her picture inside of that
ask
title.
Billy about that one. But I think, you're right. But Mickey, you can't leave her out of the discussion, because she's got such a great legacy. Because when I think of Mickey, I think of people like Gail Kim.
Yes.
Gail Kim was phenomenal. WWE didn't do her right, but she's phenomenal and has so much to give and still does. So that's what I really
100%.
want to see out of Mickey. Yeah.
I agree. And we will see, and we will keep up on it the best that we can. Guys, we are at WOTR the show on Twitter. That's right. We are Wrestling on the Rocks, where every show is our first show. This is episode 1 that you've been hanging out with, having a drink with your drinking buddies. I am at Ref Marsh. Over to my side there is at Crybaby Klump and at Miss Amanda Jane with a Y in the Jane. Guys, I think that's the last call. Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey, producer lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.